Like, this is called the Pesky Report. Like,
welcome back to the Pesky Report. This is episode 550. 550 right on the dot of the Pesky Report, brought to you by Beyond the Monster. My name is Derrik. I'm here with Hunter and Jake. And we have a very special guest joining us. Andrew Parker is here. Andrew, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm first timer over here. Electric intro, by the way. So very, very happy to finally be united with Hunter Knoll after many years, and obviously Jake and Derrik, yourself as well. But I'm very, very happy you guys asked me to do this.
I am going to throw a shout out to Jason on the intro. Shout out, Jason. Jake, I am going to hand the floor to you. I know you have something you want to discuss, so the floor will be yours, and then we'll get into our regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah, thanks, Derrik. And so this is our first show of the year for the minor league show, and I just wanted to let folks know that I'm going to be having a little bit of a different role on the Pesky Report and on this show going forward. There's been a lot of things going on with me, and it's all positive things, and there's no issues or anything like that. But things have gotten pretty busy in my life for a lot of different reasons. And I let Derrik and Hunter and Jordan know last week that I'm going to be stepping back from doing the show on a weekly basis. I can kind of see where things are heading, and I could see myself spreading myself too thin. And I hope folks know and understand that doing this show it takes a lot of preparation, and we're not just following the Red Sox. Like, we're following all four of the affiliates plus the Red Sox, and sometimes during the course of the year we're looking at as many as 7 different teams that the Red Sox name is on. So with that, there's just not enough hours in the day, and I can't do the show to the level that it deserves to be done. So I'm taking a step back. I'm not going to be gone completely. I will certainly pop on from time to time as things permit. But Derrik and Hunter are going to be running the ship for this year, and I ask everybody out there to continue to support them as they kind of take the show into a new era here. But like I said, I'm not going away completely, but I think on a regular basis you'll be hearing mostly from Hunter and Derrik and other guests and folks that they have on. I certainly hope when we do interviews to be able to join and things like that. But I don't want to take up too much more time on that. I just want to say thanks to everybody. It's been an amazing doing the show the last 3 years, and I want to be super clear. This has nothing to do with, Derrik makes fun of me for being old.
It's because Derrick's been bullying him for years.
Derrick's made fun of me for being old for all these years, but
I can't do it anymore.
It has nothing to do with I love Hunter, I love Derrik, and I love everybody that's involved in the Pesky Report. And this is 100% my decision to step back a little bit, but anyway, enough about me. I hate talking about myself.
I do just want to say it's been awesome. We've done this for 3 years now.
Yeah.
Is this our third year, or is this our fourth year?
This will be
our fourth year. Yeah. So we've done this for 3 years, and I've always said it's one of those things I can't go back and listen to I still don't think I'm good at this, but I can't go back and listen to our first episode or our first few episodes because we didn't really know each other. We didn't have a ton of chemistry. It was awkward. There were silences. There was people talking over each other. Then and then no one talks for 5 seconds. And it's been incredible. I think we've done a really good job of growing together. And we love Jake here. We're always going to love Jake here. And like he said, he's stepping back, but he's 100% not gone. I've already told him there's never any pressure to come on to an episode, but I'm also always going to extend. Every episode is going to be sent to him as well, so that he can come on whenever he can, as often as he can, because we love him. And just I'm going to try to not tear up a little bit. Jake did it last week, so I think I'm allowed to a little bit here. But just good luck with everything, and plan on seeing you still pretty often. So this is not Jake leaving. This is just Jake not being on as often.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. With that, we do have a decent amount of stuff to talk about, so I do want to kind of dive into it. We do have a spring breakout game. This is the third spring breakout game And this one especially sucked in terms of broadcasting terms because the Orioles broadcast, let's just say, shit the bed when it came to covering the Red Sox.
Andrew's lucky because he was like at the games, I think, right? So you didn't get to hear the debacle that was the Orioles broadcast. But
it was interesting. I did see all the videos and everything, and I saw Hunter putting out some of the things about the broadcast, and I think it was very funny. Hunter had a line that was like, "Yeah, Eyanson just struck out the side, but we wouldn't know because they didn't talk about it." So
they were interviewing
awkward interviews.
They were interviewing what's his name, George. I'm not sure his first name, but and they were like doing like the sunflower.
Nate George.
They were like doing like the sunflower seed showers like and stuff in the dugout. And it was just meanwhile Anthony Eyanson's out there throwing seeds, literally throwing seeds.
Yeah, a guy that was throwing 93 in college last year, hitting 100 in there.
The pitchers doing great out there. Like it was so. I didn't want to start talking about getting off. Maybe we should just get it out of the way. Like the broadcast was embarrassing. Like, and I know that this has come up as like why wasn't NASN doing the game like. Like I know that I think NASN had done the Red Sox game during the day. They can't be everywhere. It costs money to do this.
Screw the Red Sox game. Get us our prospects.
Well, I don't disagree. Like, if you could decide between which of those games, I really feel like they should have sent a crew to Sarasota.
Yeah, absolutely.
Game. Maybe the Orioles said no. We're not going to let you do that, or I don't.
Maybe
know.
they don't have the space.
But either way, the problem was that the MLB has done the Spring Breakout's a fantastic idea, and I'm so glad that they do it, and they've done it 3 years in a row now, and the whole purpose of it is to showcase the prospects, and the Orioles broadcast crew did a very good job of talking about all of the Orioles prospects, but they basically didn't say anything about any of the Red Sox prospects during the whole game. Right down to if a ball got away from the catcher, if it from Gerardo Rodriguez or whoever, they'd be like, "Oh, the ball got away from the catcher." They wouldn't even say the guy's name, or like, "Oh, nice play by the center fielder." It's like the whole point of this is to draw attention to the prospects that are playing in the game. So do a slightly better job.
Yeah, they're not invited to the Alan Castro fan club.
They're not. They never are.
They are permanently banned.
One of the quotes that I put out there that stood out to me was Tyson Witherspoon, top 100 prospect, first round pick last year, and they literally said another guy with an arsenal of pitches. He's a minor league pitcher. I have an arsenal of pitches. I can throw multiple. Like, what are we? It's such a God. He's one of the best pitching prospects in baseball, and that was like the only thing they said about him. Meanwhile, they were interviewing Trey Gibson, and there was like 47 awkward silences. It was terrible.
It was so weird.
It was bad.
Yeah, it's just I understand that NASN can't be everywhere and everything, but it feels like a fumble to not have the Spring Breakout game be the game you feel. They did such a good job last year. I don't remember who it was, Ian Cundall or Chris Hatfield, or both of them, but at least one of them was on the broadcast last year. And like, that was awesome because so many people watching that game probably have no idea who 80% of the players are. And you have Sox Prospects guys, shout out to Andrew Parker now. You have Sox Prospects guys on there explaining who these people are and why you should be excited about them and their strengths and their weaknesses. And like Jake said, the MLB, this is such a great idea by them. And the whole point is to get fans excited about the new wave of players. It's such a good marketing tool of like, hey, in 3 years, you're going to see these demons playing baseball. And just like to have only one broadcast would be fine if you I don't even really blame them. They're the Orioles broadcasters. They probably genuinely have no idea who Fraley Encarnacion is. But like the MLB should have given them little bits of each guy. Like, hey, here's something you can say. But I don't know. I just I don't want to 100% blame them. But
yeah, do a modicum of research. Like I don't really think it would have been taken that much. It was.
Well, I think the other issue
bad broadcast
too is like not every team gets a home Spring Breakout game either. Like,
well, I remember last year. I'm pretty sure they played the Rays last year, and I think that like that game. My recollection was that it was like I think MLB actually broadcast that game. Like it was not. So that was. And this is one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was that last year's game there was a lot of buzz because of the fact that it was the top three in the order was Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, and Marcelo Meyer, whatever order it was. And that was, of course, the game where they were chanting overrated at Roman Anthony, and he hit one like, halfway to Boston. So I think there was more buzz, but like I don't remember. It was either MLB broadcasters or it was the Rays local broadcasters. I don't remember it being a problem like last year.
I
Like,
will shout out the Rays broadcasters because the Rays broadcasters, I get stuck whenever I'm at home watching Rays broadcasts when they play the Red Sox. Don't think they've ever had a bad broadcast when I've watched them. Every single one has been good, right? So I think it also might be that as well, but also too like. I don't know who this goes back to. Like, you're telling me there's no one who could have prepped the broadcasters with any information on these guys. Well, or like the other thing too is like there's got or like if they don't have any information available to them, who's responsible for getting them the information, right? Where did that process fail, right? Was there was it someone from like the Red Sox who like could have sent a write up or something on these guys?
Yeah.
God forbid, right? Like
their job. Like it's just
like also too if you're like I also think too just if you're like an MLB team, like I would be thinking, yeah, let's get interest for the spring breakout game. Hell, if I was a team, I'd be getting my people on it, get some write ups on these guys, even if we're not broadcasting it, send it to the other team's broadcast team. So when so and so hits a home run in the 5th inning,
but
there's something to say.
We're 11 minutes in, and I feel like Andrew hasn't spoken yet.
Yeah.
So we should probably turn this over.
I'm just taking it in right now, but I think you guys all have like super valid points, and I do feel like next year with that tournament that's coming, where they're going to do that like different format. I'm hoping that you guys all had some pretty good points, and that they're going to have like a Red Sox broadcast for their side, since it is going to be like tournament format, and I do think that it could be a little more exciting, a little more. The stakes are a little higher just because they're like, playing towards the tournament. I hope they do next year because everything I've heard, and I'm glad, I guess I missed this one. Just the broadcast side of it. I didn't miss anything.
Yeah. I did want to bring up one awkward thing that happened in the game that I bet if you were there, you might have been able to pick up on a little bit more. There was this like weird delay in like the 7th inning of the game, I think it was, where there was an issue with the lineup card. And again, on the broadcast, they said, oh, we put a note down to find out what happened, and they never went back to it, of course. Like we never found out about it. I saw a tweet from Hatfield where he said that like the issue was that the Red Sox were supposed to have some guys go in that didn't go in. And then the manager for the Orioles complained and made them put I think it was Gerardo Rodriguez had gotten on, and they had made them put a pinch runner in for him.
Yeah.
That was awkward.
They said it was something like.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say they pretty much were saying that it was like the wrong spot in the lineup or something, or like some guy subbed it for a guy like that he was like say the 7th hitter, but before the game they determined that guy was gonna sub for the 9 hitter or something like really like kind of dumb that he was out there trying to enforce that rule in like an exhibition game.
Yeah, what are you doing? Like, I know that guy is like, that's like the guy that like wields a little too much power. Like, it's like you're finally the manager of a game, and you decide that you have to like inject yourself, and like, come on, like, what are you doing?
It's a spring breakout game, and you're managing it like it's some big playoff.
That was so weird.
Yeah, it was weird. Chad Tracy would never.
Chad Tracy would never. Chad Tracy's the man.
Would never.
Andrew, let's ask you about like who's like the guy that I want to talk about is Anthony Eyanson, and I feel like you, Andrew, like seeing your dispatches from spring training, I feel like you were the first one that I saw that was saying like Eyanson has taken a huge step forward. We interviewed him on the show. I can't remember when that was. Was it after the season, Hunter, or was it?
That's a good question.
I can't remember. You guys had him like right after the draft.
I feel like he was one of the
right after the draft.
We had Marcus Phillips, and then we had Anthony on relatively quick after that. Yeah. And I do remember him talking about like they're working on stuff with me, and I saw Andrew, you were the first one that I really saw being like he is opening people's eyes down here, and he is so impressive. And then we see him in the game, and all of his pitches are working. He's throwing absolute smoke. He's throwing like he's getting up close to 100 after he was like 93 in at LSU last year. And so for having watched him on the backfield a lot and then seeing him in this game, like what's your overall impression of where he's at right now?
Yeah, I So I had Anthony on my podcast as well. I think in January, maybe it was maybe like right before he like the spring training kind of ramped up, and I did kind of ask him. I'm like, hey, like how are things going? How are you looking right now? And he's like, yeah, I'm throwing like I'm like in indoor bullpens right now. Like I'm around like 94 to 96, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? You're 94, 96 in indoor bullpens, like. That is not like he's like, yeah, last year at this time I was 89 to 92, like getting ready for LSU. Now I'm like 94 to 96, and that's inside. So he's like, it's obviously going to go up a couple ticks once I get outside and all this. And I'm just like, dude, that doesn't even sound right. Like, what did they do to you type thing? And then get down to spring training, like down to camp, and in the backfields, he's throwing his first live. And it's always so funny too, because like that week before the games start, it's a little more laid back out there on the backfields, and you always can see where all the like player dev guys, like Abe's and his whole crew, like they'll be like bouncing around to different like track mans when there's like 3 going on, and they're all, as soon as Anthony took the mound, like the entire like 18 of them went to the back. So I was like, I'm gonna go follow them and see this, and Anthony was hitting like 97, 98 in his first one of the year, and it's just like, what in the world is going on right now? And he was commanding all of his pitches. Like, it's not just like his fastball's fast and he's like not throwing it for strikes. Like, he's literally throwing it for strikes. He's throwing all his other pitches for strikes. And it doesn't look like the added velocity is really doing much to his command, because his command was one of his drawing cards in college. So I've been amazed by him. I mean, I know that like he just hit 100 in the spring breakout game, but to go from truly being like 89 to 92 in indoor bullpens the last offseason to now being where he's at now, that is absolutely absurd.
And I'll ask you too about like the other guys that we saw in the game. Like it was, we'll kind of work backwards. Like Eyanson was the last one to come into the game. He pitched like the 9th inning or bottom of the 8th inning. And then we also saw Kyson Witherspoon and Marcus Phillips. I felt like there was flashes of good stuff from both of those guys, but maybe, a little bit inconsistent here and there. And again, similar thing, like how did you feel like maybe what you saw from those guys in the backfields translated into how they looked in the game the other night?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have talked to Marcus Phillips. You guys know his story, he still just looks very raw. Not as like, his figure does not look raw at all. He is very well built out. He's very filled out. He is a tank on the mound, like physically. But I think his arm though is just still so raw because, as you guys know, he was a two-way prospect in college until he got up to Tennessee. So the miles on his arm are not where you'd say. And I remember talking to the pitching coordinator down at the backfields, Ben Buck, and I remember asking about him, and he was just like, you have to remember, like, this guy, because I think like his first live, like the first week of February, right when I got down there, I think Phillips was only sitting like 92, and it's just like, man, like what's going on with him right now? And he's just like, yeah, remember, man, like he doesn't have the mileage and he doesn't have like the experience all these other guys have. Like he's still so new to pitching. But then you go out at the spring breakout game and he's obviously throwing a lot harder than 92. So I think with him, it's just like I'm intrigued to see, when he starts the year, how that's going to look as it lasts an entire season, because he just truly doesn't have the innings under his belt, like like the Witherspoons or even the Eyansons of the world.
Yeah, I think like the part of his performance, I think it's that kind of getting used to pitching in those spots and getting used to pitching as a professional. Like he had in one of the innings he pitched, he had back-to-back strikeouts. Looks like he was going to get out of it, and then he gave up kind of the go-ahead like 2-run single that ended up kind of being the difference in the game. So yeah, I think it's just an experience thing with him. Hunter, you go ahead. I'm sure you have questions for me.
First, I just want to say I was obviously I would have loved to see him get out of the inning, but I'm happy that it gave Rita Sena a chance to come into the game, because he had such a phenomenal year last year, and just relievers aren't going to ever really get talked about in the prospect world as much because they're relievers. So it's nice to see some of them get a little moment to shine, especially in a game like that where a lot of people that usually wouldn't pay attention are paying attention. But yeah, we got to see all three of them pitch, but then obviously we also got to see Juan Valera, who this was another one where not to bring it back to this, but again, the broadcast team was just not great about him. Someone tweeted at me the one quote. It was something like, he doesn't always know where it's going, but when he does, it's good, which is just like, that sounds like a 3-year-old said that.
That's like, that's John Madden analysis.
Like, it's like the Frank Caliendo version of
whoever scores the most is going to win the game. Like that kind of thing.
It's like, thanks, Captain Obvious.
But obviously it was good to see him out there, throwing 100. And the worst part is, not to echo their sentiment, but they're also not completely wrong about it. Like he does, that has been the issue with Juan Valera, is the command. But it's hard to not be happy with what we saw in the game. I mean, he did end up getting through 2 clean innings or 2 scoreless innings. There was a little bit of defensive help for him. But I'm just curious what you've seen / heard about Valera in like the entirety of spring, because he is someone who I think had a lot of fans excited last year, and then just insane bad luck with injuries, like just a really poor time for him to get a long-term injury. And we saw him in the top 100, and then with the injury, he fell off, and now obviously still considered one of the best pitching prospects in the system. But it feels like the hype kind of died down a little bit, and then it kind of is starting to ramp back up again. So I'm just curious what you've heard from people within the system, from players, coaches, whatever, teammates, and then just what you've seen yourself.
Yeah, I threw this out on Twitter when it happened, but I do want to circle back to it because I did find it absolutely, it was probably one of the most fascinating things that I saw all of spring. But there was the second week of February. It was Juan Valera's first live BP of the spring. I hadn't seen him like around. Like I had some of the Sox prospects guys like literally text me like, have you seen him? Like, is he like out there? Is he? And I'm like, yeah, he's throwing live today. Like, I'm gonna go watch it. And I was up close with it. I was standing next to our good friend Kelly O'Connor, and he was throwing his live to guys like all the WBC guys that were trying to get at bats before they left, like for camp. Like they were trying to just see as many live as they could. So Roman Anthony, Willie Abreu, and Ceddanne Rafaela were the 3 hitters hitting off of Valera. So that was cool, by the way. Just seeing him face 3 guys like that was awesome. But Roman stepped in the box and had an at bat, and he ended up striking out the first time. Roman's kind of like he looks a little perplexed after he just struck out, because he's like, who is this like kid to him, I guess now, but who is this like dude?
Wily veteran Roman Anthony.
Yeah, it's like he's like, who? I don't know who this is. So he like walks over to the on deck circle while William went in the box. He looks at me and Kelly, and he's like, guys, like who is this guy? Like what level is he at? And we're just like, yeah, he's like Greenville, like he was pitching Greenville last year. And he's just like, huh. Like, is he top prospect? I'm like, yeah, he's, depends where you ask. It's like top 5, top 10, wherever you are looking. And he's just like, yeah, he's damn good. And then he kind of went about his business. And me and Kelly looked at each other like, what the hell? Like, that was crazy. But he ended up striking out Roman. He struck out Roman again a second time. He got Williard a weekly ground out twice. It's like the things he was doing to like established MLB guys at that young of age was truly eye-opening. And it was eye-opening to the fact that a guy that was just sitting 6th for Team USA was like, who is that kid? He's incredible type thing. That was my favorite story, I think, from all of camp. And I think it kind of shows like people are starting to notice him in the organization now as well.
Yeah, as Valera goes, like I think, yeah, in the game, I think it's a lot of the stuff that we've seen from him before, where you see the stuff is there and is incredible, and he's up to 99. But like he's still so young. It's so hard to forget that. Like, or it's easy to forget that he started last year in Greenville at 19 or whatever, and and he had his ups and downs. I think that the stuff is undeniably there, but obviously like it's just about the unlocking the consistency and just like the ability to hit his spots. There was a moment that I had to kind of chuckle a little bit where Enrique Bradfield Jr. goes up there and he goes to square around to bunt. Now I'm like it was a mislocation, like Valera, like mislocation. I think the catcher was set up outside, and the pitch was 99 inside. Well, he's like squaring up to bunt, and it goes right by his knees and knocks him down, and he has to he's basically falls down in the box. And he doesn't. I don't think that Bradfield knows that it's a mislocation. But my first thought in my head is like, that's a Pedro move. Like, I love this guy that he's like, the guy set up to bunt, and he's like, you're not going to try to bunt off me. I'm going to brush you back. And he throws 99 at his knees and kind of knocks him down. Again, I think it was a mislocation, but the hitter doesn't know that. So doesn't necessarily know that. He might know it, watch it later on video or something. But I was like, okay, this guy's got, like, I've seen Valera pitch before, but like, I thought that was kind of that in my mind, I'm like, that's a cool moment. Like, this guy's got he's got some gusto,
Yeah, I think it's more fun, I guess, if we just kind of look at it where it's like, you know what, maybe he did it on purpose, maybe he didn't, but I think it's more fun if he Pedro'd it, to be honest. So I'm gonna stick with that one.
Yeah.
So who the hell tries to bunt in a spring breakout game?
Well,
A guy with Enrique
He's
Bradfield speed.
That's
so
his game.
fast.
But like, this is more of a showcase game than like an actual
showcasing
game.
his 80 grade speed.
I don't disagree with you, but that's why. Like, if it was anybody
No.
else, I would be like, what the hell? But like, that's his game.
I mean, I think the only person that could get a pass on it is Chandler Simpson because he just hit his first professional home run. And that thing was like barely scraped over the wall as well. I'll just throw that one out there as well. Chandler Simpson, I think, is the only guy who could bunt, and I'd probably look at it and go, you know what? You probably should have bunted. I think if Chandler Simpson went up and bunted every at bat, I don't think the Rays would be mad. It's off topic, but he's catching some slack.
I don't know. I feel like that's just
but that's how fast he
part
is.
of this game, so it makes sense. Get on base, steal bags. That's what he does, and play absurd defense.
Still, I feel like bunting in a spring breakout game just feels just not right.
Hey, him getting on base led to the great defensive play by Marvin Alcantara, which made me very happy because anytime Marvin Alcantara does something that fills my heart. And then he got a double.
That was when Bradfield kind of overslid the bag, but Alcantara stayed with him and kept the tag on and got him out. Yeah, that was a nice play. There were a couple nice defensive plays in the game. Like earlier on, it was a really nice double play that was turned by
Franklin Arias.
I think that was when Bennett was still in the game. Yeah, there was some good defense in the game, I thought.
I was a little surprised we didn't see more substitutions. Like Franklin Arias played the whole game. Justin Gonzalez played the whole game. Love the fact that he went in at first base for a little bit because I still think that's where he ultimately ends up playing. So it was good to see them play the whole game, but also I was kind of expecting it to be more like, all right, you get 2 at-bats and then we're going to throw this guy in. And then now those are like the 2 heavy hitter prospects for the Red Sox there, position player wise. But I think I was expecting a little bit more turn in, turn out. I'm excited for next year when there's more chances for more people to cycle in and out. And I do get it. You're getting it's not like it's just a showcase for the fans. The organization also wants to see, Andy Azakar get as many at-bats as he can against good competition. And but I would just like it for, to me, this is the opportunity for, I'll just throw out Stanley Tucker because we had him on recently. It's an opportunity for Stanley Tucker to come into a game that a lot of people are watching and he hits a triple or something. And then people are like, the Stanley Tucker guy is kind of cool. Or, someone makes a good play in the outfield, or, Skylar King comes in and makes a crazy play in the outfield. And it would be fun to see the not as household name prospects get a chance to gain some fans that they otherwise wouldn't get. Because realistically, 99% of the fan base isn't going to be sitting there watching Salem Red Sox games.
Not even Salem Red Sox. Rejects now.
No one's watching Salem Red Sox games.
Nobody's watching Salem Red Sox games. I do think, I guess, kind of stick with, we kind of brought up pitchers. I guess I'll probably close us out, I'm assuming, because the last pitcher I feel like we haven't touched on is, maybe somewhat of the unknown in terms of Red Sox prospect followers, just because Jake Bennett's new to the system. I think that considering who the Red Sox traded for Jake Bennett, I think a lot of people are very apprehensive, maybe, or questioning why. What's been your feel on Jake Bennett so far this spring?
Yeah, I didn't get to see him a ton at the beginning of camp just because I'm going to be honest, I liked hanging out. I know Hunter's cut from the same cloth, and you guys probably are too, where it's like if you're down there at spring training and there's big league guys over there and minor league guys, we're choosing the minor league guys. So I didn't get a good look at him like towards the beginning, but obviously once he started throwing lives and things like that, there was an interesting day that I had. It was like the Thursday before, it was the game right before the Northeastern game. And I remember he was slated to throw lives, and he was only throwing to all the lefties in the lineup. So he was throwing to like they had like Roman out there taking swings. They had Yoshida out there taking swings against them. They had I think Sogard, and they wanted him to hit left. And Chang, I think, was hitting left. I believe he's a lefty. I don't know, but I could be wrong on that. But something that and I texted him. Okay,
I have him on my me and my friend do a MLB The Show franchise together every year, and he is my backup shortstop because he's fast and plays good defense. So
there he is. Yeah, so it just sticks out to me watching him work on his left on left, and he only gave up one hit that entire round, and he faced like 7 guys multiple times. And I did end up texting him afterward and just been like, hey, like what was this about? And he was saying that like the Red Sox pretty much wanted him to just see what it looked like, gain that confidence against the guys on the left side, the guys that are doing it at the big league level off of lefties. And he's working on a couple pitches this spring that the Red Sox kind of introduced him to. I don't know. I'm curious to see where he starts between Portland and Worcester. I believe he's on that bubble. Like he's on a true bubble right now where it's like, you could make me an argument that he's going to start in Worcester. You can make me an argument he's going to start in Portland. Like I probably wouldn't say you're wrong. So I am fascinated to see, because I truly do think it's going to differ on what kind of results we see early, just because he doesn't have that experience in Triple-A right now. And maybe he does need more time because he doesn't really have a whole lot of time at the Double-A level. So I don't know. He's still a big question mark for me. I know he's throwing harder. I know that's like a big, that's been well covered, but I am fascinated to see like how he looks, starting this year and which level it is.
I also just add into on that kind of point of where he might start. It also depends, I think, where and when like guys rehab as well, because we might be looking at a Cutter Crawford rehab assignment at some point, or Patrick Sandoval, or that kind of stuff. I feel like there might be. I don't know if there's anyone else I'm missing on the pitching side of things. I think that's it.
No, that was it for the pitchers.
Yeah. Well, it felt like that last year at one point, Red Sox had like 50 million pitcher injuries. So I'm still a little bit trying to figure out who's injured. Obviously, Houck's not pitching, so that's
But I do believe Bennett is the guy that if the organization truly does think he should start in Worcester, like they will make room for him. Like he is that caliber of process. Obviously, they traded Luis Perales for him. Like he's not the guy that's like, well, like he can't start up there because he's not getting. They will like. I think they're projected, what we have for Sox prospects on there of Connolly early, Tolley, Uberstein, Sycamore. TJ Sycamore could easily go to a piggyback bullpen role. So like you could make room for him and he would get innings because I just don't think they would like have that scenario where it's like, hey, like if Bennett's not going to get innings down here, we're going to send him down. Like they would make room for him.
Yeah. It's nothing against him. I just personally would like to see him start the year in Double-A, and
I would too.
Let him work on a couple things and honestly build his confidence. Like Triple-A, obviously you're going up against a better hitting competition, and Worcester's ballpark is pretty famously a hitter's ballpark. So I wouldn't mind seeing him also just for the narrative, because if he starts the year in Triple-A and gets hit around a little bit, I think it's going to be really annoying. Not that he can't get hit around in Double-A too. Anyone can. These are still all professional hitters. But I don't want him to start the year in Triple-A, have a game in Worcester where he's going up against really good talent and the ball's flying out of the park, and he gives up 6 runs in 4 innings, and now we got to hear the absurd narrative of like, oh, this guy's clearly a bust after 1 or 2 starts. I feel like it would be better to, like, you brought him in. There's a completely different pitching lab going on. You work on things. You start him even if it's like a month in Double-A. Like, he doesn't have to be there long. We saw it last year with a lot of people. Obviously, this is more high A to Double-A, but the first one that comes to mind is Hayden Mullins. Like, he started the year in Greenville and was up in Portland after like 4 starts or something like that. I wouldn't mind seeing a situation like that where it's like, hey, let's get you out of the gates running, have some good starts. You're working on a couple things. We see where you are. And then hopefully you only need 3, 4, or 5 games there and we can move you up. And like you said, it's never going to be an issue of, oh, well, we don't have innings for him. They'll find the innings for Jake Bennett. So when he's ready, you move him up and you figure it out from there.
Yeah, I also truly as well think that in my book, so nothing, and I'm not throwing any shade towards Worcester's pitching coaches or anything, because I think Dan DeLucia is one of the best pitching coaches in the org, and Noah Junis does a fantastic job with the bullpen. But the pitching coach in Portland, Juan, is universally loved. Like, I've had so many guys talk to me about working with Juan, and even guys down in a minor league camp, they're working with Juan, like some of the guys in Salem and in Greenville, and they're like, I never hear a single bad thing about Juan. Everybody's like, I love working for him. I want to go like learn under him in Portland. Like, I've had guys in the org literally tell me like, this could be Juan's last year in the org, just because he is that smart to where they think he's going to go be on a player development staff, hopefully the Red Sox, if that's the case. But I don't think it would hurt him either, spending some time around Juan, and with him having the good track record. Like, yeah, obviously all the guys that have come up recently, from Connolly and Hayden and Blake Wehunt, credits him a lot. So I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how everything shakes out, and we're going to talk about the Worcester roster in a little bit. But yeah, just because there's a lot of pitching and a lot of spots and a lot of guys that have to kind of figure out where things are going to fit, and it's gonna, those decisions will be made, or currently being made and decided on.
One thing I will add, the only issue with Portland is good luck with the weather at the beginning of the year. That's the only issue.
Worcester's not that much better.
Yeah,
Worcester's not that much better. I'd argue Portland's a little bit worse.
I mean, yeah, they've had snow opening day the last like 3 years. Yeah. So, but also I went to the last 2 years, Portland's played in Reading in either the first or second week of the season, and both times it snowed in Reading too when I was there. Yeah. So, opening start of the season in the Northeast just sucks.
Worcester and Portland for the first like month are playing their home games like at the exact same days. They're home at the same day on the same days, and they're both on the road on the same days.
I think they try to do that though. They try to have organizations have the same home and away as often as possible. Obviously,
because like Greenville, I think is like the only one that lines up differently. I think Salem's on like the same like week, like they're home the same week that Portland and Worcester are, but Greenville is it. I think that's how it like lined up. But at least I just looked at like the first month and some change, and that's how it kind of lined up. So there's a. So Worcester got out of it last year. They went to that early season Jacksonville series.
Right.
So they got out of it a little bit. Portland. Yep. Well, Portland last year also had all the cancellations as well.
Yeah. But position player wise, I feel like we have to start with Henry Goodbow. We talked to him obviously maybe like a month or 2 months ago now. And a big thing when he got drafted even was great swing, good quality of contact, draws walks, doesn't strike out a lot. And it was kind of, and I feel like we heard the same thing with Mason White, where it was like, this is a swing that the Red Sox hitting program can probably do wonders for. And he homered in the Fenway Futures at Fenway South game, whatever that was called, a couple weeks ago. And then he homers in the spring breakout game. And that's something he didn't do in a short sample size last year. Obviously, I think he hit like 341. And I did make fun of him for, I think it was like his second hit in the system. was a wall ball off the Green Monster in Greenville that he pimped because he thought it was gone. And he even said he usually doesn't pimp home runs, so it's just funny that worked out. But so we're seeing very quickly the spoils of the Red Sox hitting program. Like he's been in the system for not even a year now, when we're already seeing improvements in the power. So what have you seen / heard with Henry? Because from an outside perspective, it's hard to really find much to complain about.
Yeah, you nailed it. It's very hard to find like a negative about Henry just because of everything he's done. And, that was truly like the one area of his game where you were kind of looking at him like, man, like doesn't really have that power. He's not going to be able to hit the ball over the fence. Like, is he just going to be kind of like a singles guy? Like, what is he going to look like in pro ball? And I think he's slowly silencing some of the doubts there. And I know they're, it's spring training, exhibition games. I understand that. Like, you truly won't know until you see like a month of action. But I'd say it's very promising. And I talked to Henry down on the backfields after one of his days a couple weeks back, and it's something that he mentioned, and he's very close with Kyle Teal. They played together at University of Virginia, and he was saying like, hey, Kyle like prepped me for what the driveline approach and just the it's not like at Virginia they do things. He gave me a quote. It's I think I put it out the other day, but it's completely opposite at the University of Virginia. They're into like moving guys over, bunting. They're into like hitting the ball the other way. Like if there's a guy wherever he is on the field, and it's like that, he's like, that's where I came from. But now it's like they want me to like step into a pitch, drive it over the wall. Like don't like not. I mean, yeah, sure. Like worry about moving the guy over. Obviously, that's like we want to do that. But like at the same time, it's like if I got a pitch and I can like drive it to left field over a wall, like I should do it. So I think he's already showed it off twice in both of those games. And I think it's going to be interesting to see, especially I'll say the first month, because let's assume he goes to Greenville. He shouldn't have as big of an issue with like the weather and like, not seeing that as if he was in Portland to start the year. Because obviously if he wasn't showing off power numbers in Portland in April, I'm not going to like be like, well, what's going on? But I want to see what he looks like the first month, because he has the chance that if he really did do the Christian Campbell program in the offseason, the bat speed training program, we could see a quick rise. And he literally told me too, he's like, I want to play second, shortstop, third base. He wants to play the outfield. Don't think that's going to happen. But he's like, if you put me shortstop's my place, but if I can get there second and third, I can play. So a very, very good results so far from him.
Yeah, it's exciting to see that. And as far as other prospects go, like, in the game itself, like, Godwin was the only one that, drove in a run. He hit a home run, and that was it. There wasn't a lot of other offense in the game. I think that, the other big name that people have been focusing a lot on is Justin Gonzalez. And, he didn't have like the greatest game. He had a few strikeouts and, worked some good at bats, I thought. But tell us, Andrew, about like the buzz around him in spring training around the backfields, and how the team kind of feels about him. And, because it was interesting to see that he played the outfield and then they moved him to first base later in the game. Like, what's the sort of thought process in terms of maybe position wise where he ends up? And just curious about what the impressions are of him at this point.
Yeah, I did end up asking somebody about like, why go into first base after he's been in the outfield exclusively in camp so far. I think he's even backed up a few big league games, and I'm almost positive he was in the outfield in those games in big league camp. But I think it's coming down to the position depth in the organization at the corner infield spots right now is not in a spot where it was a few years back. I mean, obviously I feel like the Red Sox were looking for a first baseman for like forever, and there really wasn't a whole lot down in the minors. So I think it also, you could probably align it to just like they truly don't have like a first base prospect in the system that they could see sticking there like long term. Like maybe you have Jack Quinet that does it, but he just got drafted last year. So they just released Framey. So it's like I know Frelly's hanging around too, but it's like I think it's just a need at this point. I don't know how much I'm going to put into it yet of him like playing first. I do kind of agree with Hunter though. I do think long term, I know Hunter watches him a lot more than I do. So I always go to Hunter for my takes on guys like that. But I just think it might just be a need right now.
Yeah, I brought this up, watching the game, and again, I don't mean to knock someone like Fraley Encarnacion, who's been in the organization for a while. But, this game is intended as, again, your showcase of your best prospects who are sort of available to play in the game. And Fraley Encarnacion being your starting first baseman in the spring breakout game, it says a lot about where the team is in terms of like you said, the depth. And I'm not talking yes, Justin Gonzalez seems like he's going to be an excellent prospect and is going to be turning heads but like you said, maybe it's a necessity thing that they might have him play more first base. I think you just look at where the Red Sox are now and the way that they've drafted, specifically the last 2 years. And the guys that they've targeted, like who they've targeted in trades and bringing in minor leaguers from other organizations, it's been a lot of pitching. It's been a lot of catchers. And maybe some of these guys that are catchers are going to end up being corner infielders. That's often is kind of what happens. But they really haven't focused on building that depth up again. Yeah, these guys have come through, guys like Marcelo Meyer, and obviously they traded, Blaze Jordan, and we've seen what's going on with Casas and guys like that. Like some of those guys are up at that higher level now. You have, and then, third base, it was Mikey Romero, who's been in the org for a long time, and I do think we'll probably see him in the big leagues at some point this year. But the depth, like the guys, they just released Tyler Miller, and again, these guys are, I'm not saying that, I don't know that Tyler Miller necessarily had like a future is that, they released like Alex Pinellas, there's like, these guys are not really in the org anymore. Right. So I think like there's, it would be really wild to me if the Red Sox for a third year in the row went the same route with the draft that they've gone the last 2 years in terms of just, we're going to take as many pitchers as possible. Like it really feels like there's an organizational need to fill in with guys. And you mentioned Jack Winay is an interesting name of a guy that, has some upside of a corner infield guy that they drafted. But, yeah, I mean, and look, I'm not saying that you look at like first base, I would think that a guy that you'd want, like whoever's your sort of premier power prospect in the organization would be the guy that starts in the spring breakout game there. And it was Fraley Encarnacion. So there's work to do there. And, they have a lot of depth other places. They have tons of depth pitching wise, but the depth just position player wise, specifically corner infielders, is really, really, really thin in the Oregon. There's maybe guys take steps this year and they take strides, and some guys surprise us. They're better than we think, but right now it feels very light.
I will say this about Jack Winay. I did ask one of the guys on the amateur scouting team, like, hey, I didn't let him cheat and say, the top 3 pitchers in the draft, and I even think I left out Godbout, but I'm like, tell me like 2 or 3 guys that are really gonna this was right before camp started. I'm like, tell me 3 of them that I need to watch. And Jack Winay was one of them. And I think he's definitely impressed. He's Abe's is very, that whole crew is super familiar with him. I mean, he grew up in, I think he grew up in Waltham, I think, but I think he went to Belmont Hill.
Yeah, he went to Belmont Hill. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a local kid. I mean, he's already very familiar with Abe's and that whole crew, and how so they seemed like they were they picked up right there. Like I saw him one day, literally Abe's whole family was down there, and Jack was hanging out with the sons and everything. So I feel like, he is a guy to watch out for, because I know they're high on him. And I had to double take it with how many. I had him on the podcast with another former pro, Josh Lester, not John Lester, but Josh Lester. And he was looking at his stats. He's like, dude, this guy like absolutely raked in college. Like he hit an insane amount. Like Josh was hitting like 40 home runs in Triple-A like a couple years ago for Norfolk. And he's like, dude, this guy hit like 20 more home runs than me in college. So Jack seems like he's got the power down. And I think he's going to be a very, very fascinating guy to watch as a true corner infield, first or third base.
It is an interesting position, that is. The thing with third base is a lot of times you might see like a shortstop get moved over, but first base is one of those weird ones where you're supposed to put your quote-unquote worst defender, but I think as all Red Sox fans have seen, that's a lot easier said than done. Sorry to whatever muscle that Christian Arroyo pulled. I forget what muscle it was, but yeah, it's a tough position to play. It's a lot harder than just stick someone there and tell them to catch the ball. Like it's a lot harder than that. I do want to ask. I mean, I'd be a little bit. I mean, I kind of have to ask it. Alan Castro. I mean, I can't not.
Yeah.
That's literally his question.
That's just the
Alan.
question.
Okay.
It's just Alan Castro. It's just Alan Castro.
I know this has been your thing for a while. Like I know that there's
legendary.
I've always known that there's been one person on social media that is like, and I think Alan Castro is like a very good player, but I've always found that fascinating that you're an Alan Castro guy.
Okay, I will actually. This is a little bit of a lore dump here. So the Alan Castro thing started when we first started doing the show. We had to pick breakout players, and Castro is ranked like 50 something in like the Sox prospect rankings, and it was really, really weird because that day, and I had like this is before like I'd written him down as like my pick, whatever. That day on the MLB app, for whatever reason, it showed him on the 40-man roster. This is 3 years ago. And I'm like, what in the blue hell is going on? And then I'm like, and I brought it up on the show. This is 3 years ago. So if anyone was listening and remembers it, good for you. I literally mentioned, for whatever reason, I guess we're trying to give away my pick because he appeared on the 40-man roster on the MLB app that one day. But we happened to give our breakout player picks, and I picked Alan Castro, and he did break. He broke into the top 30 on Sox prospects. I think he might have even gotten close to the top 20, and it was like, okay, we're just gonna roll with it. But then the Alan Castro fan club started, and it's been that way ever since.
Rest is history.
Yes,
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I think he's a very useful player. I think I don't know if anybody heard what Tyler Milliken described Alan Castro as on his last podcast, but I was a little concerned.
I don't remember, but I'm assuming it was something freaky and sexual because he's a deviant.
It was like something about a Walmart version of Willie Abreu in some way. I don't know. Yeah. I was actually surprised it wasn't sexual and deviant.
Yeah, usually it is. Yeah. A Walmart version of Willie Abreu. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, something along those lines. I don't know if that's.
I guess
direct,
it could be worse.
Yeah,
could be worse. It could be like an Aldi version of Willie Abreu or something.
That's
like
fair.
that.
Dollar version. Albeit Dollar Tree can really be $1.25 tree now. But just get that out there.
That's funny.
But no, I will say I will just throw this out there. If Alan Castro's in Worcester this year, I might find a way to do a backflip.
Just like to start the season?
In general. He probably will in general, but especially to start the year, like
the minor league show will be down to one host then.
Sorry, Hunter, you might be on your own.
Vince Scully, Hunter Vince Scully Knoll over here.
I'll just do voices. I'll do a bunch of different voices.
Well, Hunter's favorite prospect.
We won't do video anymore, and I'll just pretend to be like 3 or 4 different people.
Unfortunately for Jake, the Juan Chacon fan club.
Yeah, I tried to. Yeah, Juan Chacon was like my guy, and he just has never been able to stay healthy. Is he still? He's still in New York, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Where is he? Where do you guys
Portland.
have him?
Portland.
Oh, you have him?
Portland, yeah.
Okay. All right. That'd be nice. Just give he could play. He's a good outfielder. Like he just
Hey, Alan Castro is projected for Worcester, so that's all. That's all I'm
man,
saying.
the Portland outfield. It's a lot of guys that can cover some ground for sure. Between Miguel Blaze, Nelly Taylor, and Joffrey Rodriguez, and then Chacon is like an extra guy. Max Ferguson's in there too. Like these guys can cover some ground.
Caden Rose too.
Caden Rose, yeah, absolutely.
Second baseman Caden Rose now. So that's interesting.
Oh,
interesting.
Well, we'll see how much you. I did. That isn't. I thought it was listed as utility. I'm like, I remember seeing that. I was like, that's interesting.
I only saw him at second. So
he did play shortstop in high school. So it's an interesting one. Because I'm looking at the infield depth right now for Portland, just based on what SoxProspects is saying, and it's Leendo at second, Alcantara at third, Arias at short, and then Caden Rose, I guess, would be the other option because their bench. Oh, Max Ferguson's listed as a DH, but outside
he's a utility guy too.
Yeah, he's a utility guy, but the bench right now is listed as Ronald Rosario, Hudson White, Drew Earhart, so basically 2.5 catchers, and then Chacon, who's an outfielder, and then Caden Rose.
I think that we're going to see some of these guys. Some of these guys from Greenville will.
Yeah.
They'll. My guess is we'll see a lot of those guys in Portland by the midway point of the year, like Godbout especially, maybe even Justin Gonzalez. I don't know. That might be a little aggressive, but Yohan Fran Garcia, somebody that I could see there, and Antonio Anderson, some of those guys. I feel like we might see.
This stuff will also change. I don't want to rain on the parade, but there is a cut day on Thursday, and they have to cut 8 guys. So
yeah.
Because obviously guys like Noah Dean and a few others just got cut the other day, so it's
that was
I would
surprising.
expect more. Oh yeah, out of left field. That was really
surprising to me. They moved up to Double-A right at the end of last year, and I know he had his ups and downs and he struggled with command at times, but you could see what was there. You could see the talent and the arm. So I'm shocked. I've been writing my projections/predictions for each level, and I had him penciled in as a left-handed reliever for Portland, and I was like, I think if they commit to him in the bullpen, I think that he could have a massive breakout year. And I finished writing it, and I sent it to my editor and everything, and then the next day you tweeted out the list of names, and I was like, oh shit, all right, I guess I need to go in there and fix that because that's not happening.
Yeah, that one was tough. I mean, it's I truly do think he had a shoulder impingement this spring, and he hadn't thrown any lives or anything like that, and he was scheduled to actually throw his first bullpen of the spring on Friday, and he gets cut Thursday. So I know that's obviously not the complete reason why he got cut, but it is unfortunate that he wasn't able to be out there and trying to throw in any of the minor league games or anything just because he was hurt. So I don't know if that was just the nail in the coffin where it's yeah, you're hurt, you'll be down and extended for a couple months, or we'll just cut you now type thing. So sad to see though.
It's tough business. It is tough business.
Oh, yeah.
and not for nothing, and this isn't this isn't to say he is, he's better or worse or whatever than other people in New York, but Noah Dean, a phenomenal guy, and just a really wonderful person to talk to. And I'm sure that no matter what, he'll be successful in his life, and hopefully it will be pitching a baseball. And if it's not that, I'm sure it'll be something else. But he has a wonderful head on his shoulders. So good luck to him going forward.
And he's got red hair, so easily, it's my guy. So.
I will kind of get us a little back on track on the Spring Breakout game. Andy Azakar had a really nice play in the third inning, I think, off the top of my head. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember off the top of my head. And that made me think of makes that play, and I'm thinking, obviously, who doesn't love some defense, especially outfield defense? The Red Sox are kind of loaded defensively in the outfield throughout the entire system. I just ran a quick check. every level except for Worcester has a legitimately like true center fielder. You kind of run obviously stayed on in the big leagues. Portland has Nelly Taylor, Greenville has Isaiah Jackson, and Salem has Skylar King. Like it's just elite outfielders like crazy. And I personally love me some high floor defensive outfielders, just because worst thing comes to worst, they can be your fourth outfielder and be a defense first guy, or they could even be like your everyday center fielder if you just need a guy to play defense in center field, right? And it made me kind of think of just the system as a whole. Like they're like obviously the Red Sox are focused very heavily on the hitting side of things, and then now they're saying that they want to kind of start focusing a little bit more defensively because it's maybe some of the issues the big league teams had. But it feels like outfield wise throughout the system, their defense is very, very solid.
Yeah, I do feel like that's something that they have targeted a little bit, and I will say no, don't sleep on. I mean, nobody's sleeping on Nelly Taylor and his defense. He is one of the best defenders in their entire organization. But I think Ian Condell, I don't know if you got, I'm sure you guys are very, very familiar with Ian, but he is, I call it borderline obsessive with Indy Azekar, and he's always got that guy that like, that's coming, you know, that IFA guy that's like coming from the DSL. He's coming over and he's like, this is the guy. And he's usually always right. So Indy Azekar has been his guy. So like that is his guy that he's talked about for the last year. There's actually a very funny stat that I just saw from Ian, like that I just had dug it up. But this was as of last June of 2025. That he had the highest 90th percentile exit velo of any teenager in the system as of mid-2025. That included his teammate Justin Gonzalez, and his hard hit rate above 50% so far this year. So it's like his defense is really, really good, and his bat is really, really good as well. He's a guy that will play every day. If he can stick in center, like I think that's even better. But he was hitting the ball hard. I don't know if he is anymore with Justin Gonzalez, like, you know, obviously being who he is now, but for a guy that plays center field that can hit the ball just as hard as Justin Gonzalez, like that's fascinating to me.
And I think the other thing too is just kind of on Eddie Azekar, it's the guy who signed for $40,000, right? I mean, who was it? The Red Sox. I'm drawing up like who was it they just released that was like their third highest bonus guy.
Edwin Brito.
Yes, Edwin Brito. And it kind of, and also, I mean, let frame you going as well, right? Yeah. Like the kind of international free agents can kind of be a little bit of just a toss up in a way. You know, you might have your top guys that you feel you're pretty sure on. The guys who maybe get like a $4 or $5 million signing bonus from whatever teams are actually willing to do that. Padres, Ethan Salas, hello. Way to ruin the player's development. That's besides the point. But it's also, it does kind of speak a little bit to kind of the, I guess, kind of, I don't want to say crapshoot, but kind of crapshoot international scouting can be, and the international amateur free agency period can be, because you get a guy for $40,000, Andy Azekar, who maybe is one of the brightest, maybe is the brightest guy in his signing class, or if he isn't the brightest, he's like very close to it. And actually, the top three guys in that class are all out of the system. So that kind of, like I said, speaks a little bit to the crapshoot of it. What is it like though for you going down to kind of Fort Myers and seeing the kind of guys who are Salem, or maybe might start in Greenville this year, but really haven't played a lot outside of Salem, or even just guys who are coming stateside for the West Side? What is it like to see those guys? Because that's definitely, I feel like those guys are the kind of hard ones to cover, especially because none of us are in the DR. Like we're not watching those games. Obviously, it's kind of can't, right? So what is it like seeing kind of those guys coming over, or guys who are very limited in playing in the U.S.? What is it like seeing those guys?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it is something unique, because when I get down to camp, I don't see any of them, because they have them like in the building doing like like acclimating them. They're not even like doing like baseball things per se. Like they're literally like in a classroom, like getting acclimated to the United States. So it's like they're literally like taking English classes and financial literacy and things like that. So it's like you don't even see those guys. Like if you go down to spring training in like February, like right before the game start, like you won't see any of the DSL guys that are just got over here. I think it was literally just like a couple weeks ago that Dorian Soto and a lot of those guys started going out to the backfields, taking live ABs, getting fielding work in. Like so it is very interesting and a little unique, and it's also like a good thing that they do with those guys. It's just like, hey, like this is the first time, they're all like 17 years old, 18 years old. They're young, so it's like it's the first time they've ever been away from their parents, most likely, like out of the island. So it's like, hey, like here's how you live in America. None of them have ever lived in America before, so it's like, hey, this is how you survive in America. Like this is like how you can budget your money, and this is how here's some English like classes you can get by like whenever you're like trying to go out to eat and everything. So it is a very unique transition for those guys, and just trying to be able to see them, because they're you just can't for the first like 3-4 weeks of camp, and then they slowly come in because they'll be playing in the FCL when that starts up. So I always do find that like kind of fun though, once those guys do start coming out, and you see them out there taking like they look like they're just like like a children on like Christmas morning, where there's like we're ready to play, because like we've been in like school for the last like month. So I didn't get a great look at any of the like incoming guys yet, but I know Ian has posted some like Soto and some of the other guys that he likes from that group.
Also too, just it is funny because like thinking about it now, I know for Jake and Hunter it's a little bit different, but I mean I'm still in college, right? And for me, like whenever we have our like incoming first year student group, like when they come in like at the end of this upcoming school year, I'm graduating. In a couple of weeks we have like our accepted students day, and everyone comes in. I'm like this kid's like 17, maybe have turned 18, and then I'm like, hold on, it's the same age as someone like a Dorian Soto, and then like things like that.
Here he goes with the backhanded age comments again. Jake.
Yeah, seriously, this is.
Oh man, I know Hunter and Jake wouldn't get it.
Oh, what a
no! I'm saying it's a little bit for them now.
How old I am. I'm about to graduate from college. Look at how old I am.
No, it's different.
I'm old too,
it's different. Well, it's different for them because obviously they're not like in my situation but like for me, it's like I see some of those guys and I'm like, and it makes me think, I'm like, okay, you're 17 years old playing professional baseball, and I'm here seeing kids walking around that are like, they're just like graduating high school trying to get to college, and I'm like, yeah, your life must be awesome. Like you're just over there playing professional baseball. Like I'm kind of jealous. Like how come that didn't happen to me? I wasn't that good, that's why. But still, but it's a problem. It's a little and also that as well. But it's a little bit kind of, I guess, it's like it gives me like this weird perspective of it, because it's it's like this especially to this like post-COVID world of like all these kids being like sheltered to certain things, or maybe they're they like a lot of kids when COVID hit turned to like staying inside all the time and not being outside, and you have these kids coming over from they're brand new to the States, brand new to whatever culture, different, they're getting a melting pot of cultures, obviously, being brand new, like I said, to the United States of America. And it's like it's very impressive as well. And obviously some of them might not know English. I think just the whole thing of them coming over and playing at the level that some of them do play at, it is extremely impressive. But it also speaks to some of the challenges as well. Like I said, that's a little bit to why I do think international amateur free agents a little bit kind of a crapshoot, because you don't know how people are going to transition and adjust to even those life changes as well.
Yeah, and you see guys signing so young too. It's like 12-year-olds now signing. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah, didn't the Yankees sign like some 11-year-old or something, or like agree to a
like
deal
bizarre,
with like an 11-year-old for like $3 million or something? Like imagine like someone from the Little League World Series getting told, "Oh yeah, the Yankees are gonna draft you in 6 years and they're gonna give you $4 million." Like imagine go to the Little League World Series and telling the Little League World Series MVP, "Yeah, you're gonna sign for the Yankees in 6 years." Like
can we? There's a little bit of breaking news. That is specific to our interests. That Angel Bastardo has been told that he will not begin the season with the Blue Jays. The club can either return him to the Red Sox or work out a trade. So
bring him back.
That's from Arden Zwelling, who I believe covers the Blue Jays.
Oh,
that is
Reese McGuire signed with the White Sox.
That is very unsurprising. I wrote about that. No, I didn't. I wrote about Jetix and Paez probably coming back. But when I was doing that, I was looking at Angel Bastardo, and I was like, yeah, he's probably coming back. And
yeah,
great. That's another guy. Now I have to edit my Portland preview again.
Well,
because
again, it's
back to Portland, but
so it's interesting. They say he could work out a trade. So that mean they would trade him to someplace else?
Yeah,
I think it would have to be with the Red Sox.
They could trade him somewhere else, and then that team would still have to abide by the Rule 5.
Right. He would still have to be
okay,
on.
Yes.
He would still have to be on their.
Yes.
I can't imagine
their opening day roster.
He hasn't pitched.
Hey, the Rockies. The Rockies are stupid. They're putting Chase Dollander in the bullpen. I mean, I get they could,
He hasn't pitched above Double-A. He's coming off an injury. I don't see it happening. But
yeah.
And like I said, there's dumb teams like the Rockies who have Chase Dollander in their bullpen. Apparently.
Yeah, the Rockies.
Don't ask me.
Spend a first round pick on a college stud, and yeah, that's what you're going to do. But that's the Rockies. Even though they're run by Paul DePodesta now, it doesn't make them smart.
No, I don't think anything will ever make them smart.
Yeah. Interesting.
I do want to get into the Worcester preview soon, but I do want to ask you about something that doesn't have to do with the spring breakout even. But just, I know you've had him on your show before. I know you talked to him, and someone that I think a decent amount of people are interested in is Conrad Kaysen. So I'm just interested what you've seen from him this year. Obviously, he's not going to be pitching. He had Tommy John last year, so he's just going back to. He's just going to be my first question is: do you know if he's going to play the field or if he's just basically going to DH? I'm assuming he's starting in the FCL. I've asked people in the organization. That seems to be the move. But I'm curious if you know if they're going to be putting him in the field immediately or if it's going to at least be a couple weeks of just DHing. And then obviously I also know that it's kind of been the plan is still for him to do two-way next year. Have you talked to him about that at all? Have you talked to anyone in the organization? Just what's the Conrad Kaysen temperature? Because he's someone that I think people were super juiced up to see get drafted here, and then just a lot of bad luck so far, but obviously still a very intriguing prospect who I don't want to see the excitement die down on him yet, because I think when he does start playing in Salem, I think people are going to really ramp up again.
Yeah, I did talk to Conrad because I was honestly very surprised when I was watching him work out on one of the backfields, and he was taking all of the infield drills with all the other guys at shortstop and was making the throws and everything. And I'm like, oh, didn't you just have TJ not that long ago? I was very, very surprised. And I remember grabbing him after he was going through those drills, and I was kind of like, hey man, how are you feeling? I wanted to phrase it. I'm like, if you had to give me a percentage of your arm strength right now, to play the field, what number? I was expecting him to say 60, 70, maybe 80. Gave me 100%. I know he was probably being a little.
He's being a baseball player. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, listen, I'm good. I'm ready to play. But he did give it 100, and he was making all the throws. He was long tossing in the field. He did tell me that he will be playing the field in the FCL. I think you might be right, though. He maybe could be DHing for the first couple weeks, but you will be seeing him at shortstop or second base at some point in the FCL. And and he also did tell me that he will be picking back up pitching in 2027. So I was very, very shocked to see him out there, because he was out there when guys like, Maximus Martin has been dealing with an injury all spring. So it's I was expecting to see those kind of guys, and I was seeing Conrad and Nazan and Starlin Nunez, that whole group kind of doing their thing. So very, very intriguing to see him finally get his chance.
Of players right there. That's a fun group of players.
It was fun.
I'm waiting for the Nazan Zanatella breakout. I'm waiting for it. So I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm waiting for it.
I'm not giving up, because I am a St. Louis guy. I was born and raised in the St. Louis area, and I will always show love to our 314 or 618 guys. And he is a guy that I will always root for, just because he was a CBC guy and all that. But He has had some bad luck, man. Like when he got to camp, I sent a picture to one of the guys in the org, and I was kind of like, what's wrong with this photo? Because like he didn't look the same as last year, and I said, what am I like not what am I not grasping here? Like what's different? He's like, well, he had food poisoning and he lost like 15 to 20 pounds like right before he got to camp. And he literally did look like he didn't eat like all off season. And he's like, so I asked him about it, and he's like, dude, it happened at the worst time. Like, that's why you don't eat seafood in the state of Missouri. I will
eat
also
seafood
vouch for
everywhere.
that.
Don't listen to that.
In Missouri is wild.
Seafood, I don't care. Eat seafood, breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you can. It's the greatest invention.
Not the state of Missouri.
Hunter, I like
You live in Pennsylvania, Hunter. You're like, that's not.
I don't care.
Hunter,
it's
go to Missouri. I'd like
I-
to see how long it takes for you to get food poisoning if you do that.
I've been to Boston a decent amount. I have family in
Oh,
Florida.
That's different.
I've been to the Bahamas.
It's fish out of the ocean. You don't have to drive it halfway across the country.
In the world. I'm
Into
just,
the middle of
I'm
nowhere.
with you on
probably,
seafood.
too.
I'm completely with you on seafood. A lot of people hate seafood. I love it.
Oh, I
but,
love
like,
seafood.
Well,
but, like,
Not
seafood.
Missouri.
Yeah, not
I've never
Missouri.
been to Missouri,
I'm
so
not,
yeah,
you know,
that might be a fair point.
That's a
Nope.
poor guy.
But I have kind of given him the Miguel Blaze tag of we've seen flashes of like, holy shit, like when he's going, you see the power, you see the speed, you see like you see everything, but there's just a lot of struggles in between that. Like like with Miguel Blaze, there will be a week where he looks like the greatest player in the system, and then the next week he has 8 strikeouts and pops out a ton. And that's kind of what we see with Nazan, where it's like he'll have a 2-homer game, and then he'll hit another homer the next day, and then the next day he'll go 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. And it's like he just needs to get that momentum and that consistency. And he has had miserable luck with injuries and apparently food poisoning and all these other things where it's like he can't get into that rhythm. And like he started off last year phenomenally. So it would be nice to see him not have a nice stretch of good luck and get to put it all together, because there is like absurd raw talent. And I think that's something a lot of people don't realize about him is the Red Sox were drafting him based off raw potential. Like, it's not like when they drafted him, they were like, this guy will be up in 2 years and he's going to be the best. It was like, all right, we're drafting him and now he has to work on this, this, and this. And when someone gets drafted high, a lot of people that aren't like locked into the system probably just think, oh, okay, this guy's going to be a superstar the second he gets here. And it's just something we've said, something it is not linear. Progress is not linear. Prospects move at different rates, and he's shown us the talent and the flashes of everything coming together. So yeah, I would like to see him get a nice extended look. I'm assuming he'll start the year in Greenville where he finished last year, and hopefully he gets to play every day. The Red Sox have a little bit of a logjam going on at the middle infield type positions. I know obviously he can move around. He can maybe even play the outfield. He was supposed to do that a lot more than he has. But yeah, they'll like, according to the Sox prospects one that I'm looking at right now, like it's Henry Godbow, Nazan Zantello, Mason White, Starlin Nunez, Stanley Tucker, kind of like he'll play the outfield as well. So, but Yoel and Cespedes, like they'll have to figure out a way to get all these guys time. It's not a terrible issue to have, but I hope that they can find a way to keep everybody. It'll be good to keep everybody healthy because you don't have to play someone 5 to 6 times a week. But
it's also
I also
not
hope
even
they...
of drinking age yet. Like, I think that's the other thing. Like, it's not even of drinking age yet. Like he's like, he might be like, if he were to have like a breakout year, it would be like the ultimate definition of like, yeah, this is why prospect development's not linear. Like, he's not even of legal drinking age until May. Like, it's slow it down a little bit. I think we've been a little bit spoiled too with obviously Marcelo did have a relatively steady rise, albeit with the injuries, but he wasn't like crazy. But then obviously you get the Roman rise that was like just absurd, and he was coming out of high school, and then you get all the other kind of things coming with like the Tolley and just pitchers moving through the system extremely quickly. But college pitchers, right? Seeing a guy who's drafted high, but coming out, and Christian Campbell would throw Christian Campbell in, like his rise to the system, college hitter, right? Nazan would be draft eligible this year if he was in college, right? So there is still time for Nazan Zanatella.
No question. Yeah. I think, the pitching side of it is interesting. And it just made me think of the fact that, like, right now, again, according to you guys at Sox Prospects, the projected rotation for Greenville is ridiculous. And it's interesting because you think about it, last year, Peyton Tolley started the year in Greenville. And you look at, Valera, Witherspoon, Eyanson, Phillips, even Brandon Neely, who I think people are sleeping on. It does feel like at least one of those guys from that group could very well be the Peyton Tolley of this year. Can
I give you a name too from that group?
Please.
That I know that is being underappreciated right now, and from what I've seen in camp and talked to him, I would pay attention. Devin Futrell. He worked this offseason at Vanderbilt learning new pitches with Garrett Crochet. And I know Garrett Crochet, everybody was kind of
average
talking about
baseball
him.
Player. I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's like, but Futrell has worked very, very hard this offseason, was around big league guys the entire time, worked with that guy, Tyler Erb at Vanderbilt that worked with Crochet and everything. So Crochet immediately texted him over the offseason and said, hey, what time do you usually go? I want to make sure we're there at the same time, all this stuff. So he got to be around one of the best pitchers on the planet all offseason. He also got to learn his new splitter. He's looking good. And I mean, he obviously pitched very well at Vanderbilt too. So I'd probably put him on the radar as a tall lefty that got to pick Garrett Crochet's brain a lot this offseason. So I think he might look pretty good.
Exciting.
Gotta love when your ace is also taking time out to help, random prospects. That's really good to hear. He's invested in.
Oh my God, they gave up too much for him. Oh my God.
No one says that.
No, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
About that trade. No one says that.
Our future catcher.
Very happy
It's
for the
fine,
Red Sox. They
people.
got useful players in that
It's
trade.
fine.
They're still going to finish.
It was a
last this year.
win-win. Well, except for the fact that they're the White Sox and they'll blow it.
This is fine. This is the thing. People they gotta accept. Sometimes these trades are win-wins. I would say this right now. The Carlos Narvaez trade looks like a win-win. For both teams. Do I wish that the Red Sox had fleeced the Yankees? No, but ERC looks like he's legit. So and the Red Sox got a starting catcher out of it. Sometimes these trades are not fleece jobs. It's not the Padres getting Fernando Tatis for a bag of balls. It sometimes it's good.
That was also an exceedingly dumb trade.
Yeah, it was very bad.
I mean, what team was that again?
The White Sox. They've been on the end of some bad ones.
Yes. Oh, they have. So have the Rockies. Speaking of teams that are stupid, so have the Marlins. Speaking of teams that are stupid. With that though, I feel like we probably should get to our Worcester recap.
Pre-cap, kind of.
Or recap preview. My brain is fried. It's supposed to be spring. It's supposed to be spring. It is not spring.
It has been very cold.
It's not. I can
It's
confirm.
not.
It was nice for me. It's been cold, but today it was 70. I went outside. I was having a good time.
It snowed during my spring break. Okay,
yeah, it is weirdly
spring break my ass.
You look at the temperature maps of the whole country, and it's 70, 80, 90, the rest of the country, but New England, it's 40.
40.
We're stuck in this blue corner where the rest of it's all red and orange.
Yeah, one day in the 70s. One day. That was it.
And it's
one day
my dad is, I think, overnight up in the mountains in New Hampshire. I think they're supposed to get 7 or 8 inches of snow tonight.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, this.
Anyway.
Hey, speaking of places, maybe they're getting all our misery out. So speaking of, they know some good stuff's going to happen this year. I don't know, the Red Sox winning a World Series, maybe. Who knows?
Speaking of places that are likely to get 7 or 8 inches of snow in March and April, let's talk about Worcester.
God, please don't. I was it better not snow or rain this upcoming weekend. That's all I'm gonna say. Better not. Where do we want to start? First of all, I feel like the best place to start probably should be the rotation, just because I feel like it's kind of the. I guess there are a couple question marks, but I feel like it's the biggest names. Obviously, potentially early Tolley, Uberstein, Sycamore, Patrick Sandoval, and Carter Crawford are listed on rehab assignments. Isaac Coffey's also listed as inactive. So, I mean, where's the coffee man? Come on. Boo! We want the coffee man. And then obviously, like you did mention Andrew, Jake Bennett could also play into that mix. What also I will just also mention, I just saw the name. Hi Noah Song. You're never gonna probably start again, but hi Noah Song. How are we feeling about this Worcester rotation? Whoever wants to take it can take it. But how are we feeling about the Worcester rotation?
Go ahead, Andrew.
Wow, you guys are very nice. I think the rotation's great. I mean, obviously you have 3 40-man guys, which I think is sort of cheating, like in this game here. But obviously early Tolley, Uberstein are all going to be fantastic. So I could see them. I mean, obviously Tolley's going to be working on some things. Connolly's just going to be staying ready for whenever he's needed up at the big league level. And I wouldn't sleep on Ubi. I mean, I think he's going to end up getting up to the big leagues at some point this year, and whether it's a spot start or if they need a long guy out of the bullpen with some injuries, like I think he's also a good fit. And I will say, and am I allowed to be biased on the show? Am I
extremely
biased?
Please,
yes.
we don't allow unbiased opinions here.
Okay,
that's how.
So there's a guy listed as a starter right now. This is my Alan Castro. Actually, how about I word that for you, Derek? I have my own Alan Castro, and his name is TJ Sycamore. And the only reason I have that connection is he is a University of Missouri guy. So I covered him for the paper in Columbia, Missouri when he was at Mizzou. And I have gone way back with TJ since he was out of Iowa. He was pitching against like Theo Dimlinger and like a bunch of those guys and Alex Hoppe like in high school. Like very, very fascinating group up there in Iowa. But he's one of my guys that I am super, super, super intrigued about, because obviously you guys are probably aware of it. He was a first round pick by the Yankees and was traded in the Benintendi trade to the Royals way back when. And he's kind of bounced around a little bit. This was his first ever big league camp. And he started before. He's coming out of the bullpen before. I think he's going to be an interesting guy. He's not a hard throwing lefty at all. Like I think he's going to like top out at like 93, 94. And he's also like a shorter guy. He doesn't really match like if you see him and Peyton Tolley standing next to each other, you're like, wow, that's a kid out there standing next to Peyton Tolley. But he's an extension king, which the Red Sox obviously love. And he just brings you at a different angle, and like he's not the same size as all the other animals they have on the mound in the organization. So I do think it is something to note that it's like you got to have guys that come from different angles and different sizes, just because you can't be throwing out 12 Peyton Tolleys in your rotation or pitching. Like they're going to see the same stuff all the time. So I think TJ does have a chance to just offer something different. If he's following up Peyton and Connolly, it's like he's just such a different pitcher than both of those guys. So maybe he has a good outing to start the year. But he's kind of my bias pick for like a guy that might, a non-40 guy to maybe kind of like maybe stick in the rotation. Maybe if that don't work out, maybe throw him in the bullpen as a lefty option. Who knows? But yeah, I just wanted to be biased here for like a minute. So thank you guys.
He's also the 4th person I know that lets me know that Iowa is a real place. So there's that.
A lot of good arms coming out of Iowa these days, though. I will say that. I mean, we've seen it in the Red Sox org alone, like guys like Hoppe, and and we all liked the Blacksmith back in the day with Theo, and Iowa's kind of getting slept on a little bit.
Yeah, that's next up. We're gonna start getting players from Idaho, which I promptly pronounce Idaho because I not the ho, Idaho. So,
well, what about South Dakota? We got Marcus Phillips coming out of there. So
yeah,
that's true. Jake just looks like Jeez.
This is why he's taking a leave of absence.
This is not it. No, it's not. But it's climbing up the list. But no.
The thing that intrigues me so much about the rotation is how different it could look in like a month. Like the Sox prospects list has Connolly Early and Peyton Tolley. One of them might make the opening day roster. It has Patrick Sandoval and Cutter Crawford, two guys who are kind of like rehabbing, working on things, and could absolutely get moved back into Boston relatively soon. Tyler Uberstein, there were the tiny hints that he might get called up at some point last year. And then you go down to Double-A, and it's like Jake Bennett could be there quickly. Hayden Mullins could be there quickly. John Holobitz, Eduardo Rivera. Like, there are a lot of people that might jump up into the Worcester rotation relatively quickly. So when trying to preview it, it's really hard to figure out who's going to do what, because we're still not even 100% locked in on who's starting where, and if they are starting there, for how long. I know there was some rumor floating around of like the Red Sox could use Early or Tolley as like a long reliever guy for the first week, like while Ronher Suarez. Is it Ronher or Ranger? I don't know.
Who cares? It's one of them.
Yeah,
that's what I've gotten at this
I'd
point.
rather get someone's name right.
I think that he said it's Ron Hair, but he doesn't really care. That was my
okay. Ronher Suarez.
Well, Baseball
like
Reference
building him back
doesn't
up.
have a pronunciation for his first name, so
he's not a prospect though. So
I said Baseball Reference.
Oh, so like I just it's hard to figure out what's going to happen there. But either way, it's a lot of major league talent. Like that is, of the 6 guys listed on Sox prospects, 4 of them have pitched in the majors before. One is on the 40-man and flirted with getting called up last year, and another one has pitched in Triple-A before, and is a former first-round draft pick. So there's a ton of talent in that rotation, and I think that it's going to be really important for them to start off the year strong, because there's talent in the lineup, but it is not nearly as heavy as it was last year. Like last year, they were starting the season with Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer right at the top of that lineup. And they don't really have that big of a 1-2 punch this year. They still have a ton of talent. We'll get into that when we get into it. I don't want to start name dropping everyone right now. But it's going to be a little bit more pitcher heavy. And I think I think that Worcester will still have a ton of fan interest at the start of the year, because they will have big names in the rotation. I think like if Peyton Tolley and Connolly Early are there, everyone's going to want to go see those 2 pitch while they still have the chance before they go back up to Boston. So either way, it's going to be a ton of fun, and I think that we will see a lot of dominant performances. And I'm honestly probably most intrigued to see Cutter Crawford, because I think we saw some really good things out of him 2 years ago, and it really sucks because it felt like he was developing properly, and now we're getting, and then he just misses an entire year. So I'm intrigued to see what he looks like upon his return. Obviously, Patrick Sandoval's missed a ton of time too, but we've never seen him pitch for this organization before. So to me, it's a little different. We're seeing a guy that a lot of people became a fan of. Like, he was someone who I think fans were kind of teetering on for a while, because he would look good for a little bit and then struggle and then look good. And 2024, he had a very strong season, to the point where people were kind of penciling him in as like the 4 starter for a long time. So I'm interested to see how he looks in game action, because obviously that's just a whole different animal than just out on the backfields throwing a couple innings.
Yeah, I think you brought up such a good point too, that I guess I haven't really like thought about as much with the amount of starters down in Portland right now, and and you listed off like Hayden Mullins and John Hollabets, who has been having a great spring. Hayden Mullins has been having a good spring as well, and and a guy like Blake Wehunt, who got the start for the big league game the other day and looked pretty good. And I know his velo's been up, and he's fine, and he's healthy, unlike last year. So it's like you have all these guys too. That's like I wouldn't like if some of those guys, if let's just say like in this exercise, like Tully and Early and like those rehab guys weren't like in the picture, like Hayden Mullins should be in Triple-A right now after what he did last year. I could see Blake Wehunt also being potentially maybe a little bit more Double-A time, but like you could make an argument for Hollabets getting up there. Like those guys are definitely going to be. I mean, I hope they're up there for at least half the year. So you do bring up a very valid point.
The pitching throughout the whole system it's
fun,
better than it's ever been. Like it's ridiculous. Obviously, we touched on the Greenville rotation earlier, but it's kind of the issue the Red Sox had last year, where there's just too many pitchers, which is not a bad issue to have at all. But like last year, we saw again Hayden Mullins start the year in High A, even though he probably should have started the year in Double-A. And it kind of feels the same this year, where there's a couple guys where it's like, you could bump them up, but there's just too many arms everywhere. And as the season goes on, you will need those arms. People go down from injury. People struggle. The Red Sox will lose people. Like there's a ton of stuff that will happen where everything will figure itself out when you're going all throughout the system. But I think we're just going to see a ton of movement this year. And I think at some point, some of these guys might get traded. And I think fans, especially if it's some of the bigger names, fans will be very disappointed. But there's so many guys that this has. I don't think fans are used to pitching being a strength of the organization. But that's where we're at right now, where if they need to trade prospects, it would make sense for them to move some arms.
I think the other biggest question for Worcester, and not that it really matters in the grand scheme of things, but more so because I'm interested, who are they rolling with on opening day? I think that's probably the most interesting thing with Worcester right now. Do they roll with someone like Uberstein just because he's been there?
I think it'll be earlier Tully.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's more based off of like, okay, we were talking about Suarez before, like they're ramping him up slowly, and there's like, I just wonder if they try to work the rotation with Worcester somehow so that it lines up with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
If there's like somebody needs an extra day or something like that, instead, like, so I don't know. It's not like Garrett Crochet being the Red Sox starting opening day.
Yeah,
with the Red Sox, like the Red Sox will figure out the rotation the best in terms of. It's also like, the way it works with the Woo Sox and the way that they do things in Triple-A is, I think generally speaking, maybe they won't do it this early in the season, but a lot of times I think they do like a guy to start, like give a guy a chance to start on a Tuesday and then also start on Sunday. They may not do that this early in the season, but I do think that's something to consider too. And then, so that's the week that guy does that, and then somebody else is going to do it the next week and that kind of thing. So
because whoever starts on the Tuesday in the first full week of the season isn't pitching this upcoming weekend. I think that's the other thing too. If they were to do that, if they were to do that,
yeah,
right. I mean, personally, I think it would be nice for Tyler Rubenstein just to get it, just because of the year he had last year, right? And if maybe you want to keep Tully and Early available as well for a piggyback off of a Ranger Suarez if you need it. I mean, it's an option, and it would stay an option. But also, too, I mean, Rubenstein pitched 91 innings in Worcester last year, right?
I also do agree with Jake. I don't think it's like this big.
It doesn't matter in the grand scheme. Like I said, it doesn't matter.
I think it was Robert Stock, and the year before that,
it was
Greg Ambrell.
Yes, it was Robert Stock because I was there.
Yeah, no disrespect to either of them, but
Robert Stock, I think actually pitched pretty well in that game.
It's not like they're thinking let's get our true ace of the staff out there. They're
but
putting
it is
out
cool if it's someone
a reliable
like
pitcher. Yeah.
It's a great story for that person can tell. Obviously opening day.
Yeah. I just don't think it's as much of a grandstanding oh, this is our opening day.
Yeah.
Not to crap on the Rockies again, but like everybody was making fun of them because it was Kyle Freeland for like the fourth straight year, and it's like, dear Lord, this is the state
Poor
of
Rockies
this
fans.
That's what
rotation.
they're paying them the big bucks for, apparently.
I saw someone say like the
Rockies
year
fans.
is 2083. The Rockies announced that 78-year-old Kyle Freeland is making his 60th straight opening day start.
Oh God.
You know, it's funny. Like I feel like the last pesky report show that they talked a lot about the Rockies, and now we're doing it too. So the pesky report.
To be
is,
fair,
I
I trash on the Rockies a lot on this show.
Yeah.
Let's be completely fair. I
now
trash on them a
we're-
lot on this show.
Secondary focus of the pesky report is apparently now the Rockies.
I
So,
mean, I don't think Kyle Freeland's that upset because he's made a decent chunk of change in his big league career playing
Sure.
for the crappy old Rockies. $64.5 million deal that runs through next season. Oh, it's a conditional player option.
As long as they treat Brennan Bernardino right.
exactly.
They might throw his arm off.
But Jake, did you have any rotation things you wanted to highlight, or did you want to move on?
No, we should. I think we've covered it. It's a deep group, and a lot of these guys will make a big difference at the big league level for sure this year. And there's like what Andrew said off the top. There's 3 guys on the 40-man. So I think the bullpen is very interesting, and if we can kind of transition into that, like again, you have kind of like just one guy right now projected that's on the 40-man in Sam Inego, who I thought had a shot at being on the big league roster to start the year. And then they obviously just signed Tommy Canley, who will it'll be fascinating to see. I think I had seen details in his contract that he doesn't have an opt-out for a while. Like it's not until
I
don't
can't
think it's,
imagine.
like,
They just need to make sure he's not going to be like a double agent and spy. Just
very important to suss that out quickly.
I think that's what Frankie Montas was for the Red Sox when he was with the Yankees, in all honesty.
Yeah, true.
Like what else was Frankie Montas doing when he was with the Yankees?
Good question. And then we talked about Noah Song. We are talking. I think we could see.
I know a song.
I know a song.
Shout out Ed.
Shout out to Ed. Who, he thought he was getting rid of him, who's not. So interesting bullpen group. Andrew, does anybody stick out amongst that group to you that maybe that should be on people's radars? It's a mix. It's guys that are prospects, and then there's guys like Teran Guerrero and Kyle Keller who've like been around.
Teran Guerrero is awesome. I love
Teran Guerrero hasn't pitched in the big league since 2019 or something like that. And
he feels just as scary as Melvin Adon was. That's my only thing with him. Just massive human being.
Ooh. I would don't put him in that territory yet.
No. Just in terms of a massive human being that throws gas. I remember Melvin Adon walked by me, and I thought I might have shit myself. Like, dude, he's a
massive human being.
So massive. I'm like, and then I unfortunately had the not so great pleasure of having to see him pitch and throw ball after ball. But hey, at least he threw hard. But massive human being, kind of scary. Teran Guerrero is a massive human being, so comparable in that sense.
Yeah, I guess like Jake, to answer your question, like it is truly like I feel like every year it's always like a bunch of like vets with like a few guys that were homegrown. Like I mean that's pretty common, but like this year it just seems like with so many guys coming over from like the MPB and like there was guys pitching in the Mexican League, like it's a unique group, and obviously we all talked about Noah Song. I'm very obviously excited for him, but I know Hunter just pointed out Teran Guerrero is throwing like 100-mile-per-hour heaters constantly, which is awesome. But I'm gonna just stick to a homegrown to please Hunter Knoll over here, because he is our minor league king, and I have to pick Wyatt Olds. And the only reason I say that, Wyatt Olds has had a strike throwing problem. He just has. Like that's his command has been his biggest flaw, but he did spend his whole offseason like he has the past couple down in Oklahoma at pitching WRX. And he was with Peyton Toy, David Sandlin, Jake Bennett, Barrett Morgan, a ton of guys down there that are in the Red Sox system and not. And they were really trying to hone in, not as much on the velo program. He's already throwing hard. He's sitting around 97, 98 these days, but just truly throwing his pitches for strikes. And I know that's easier said than done, but those guys at that facility are geniuses. He's also picked Peyton Toley's brain a ton this offseason. He said that has truly helped having a guy like Toley that kind of went through the crazy ride that he did last year. So I think he could be, as long as he throws some strikes this year, I definitely wouldn't mind seeing him get a cup of coffee.
I know there's been some praise around him for just like his stuff this year. Like I know people were posting his like the reports on his, like just apparently he has some of the best stuff this spring training, like just the like metric wise, everything looks phenomenal. And yeah, I'm absolutely rooting for him, but I do have a funny story. I always go to the games in Reading because I live like less than an hour away from there. And there was a game where Wyatt Olds and Helcris Olivares both pitched, and they hit like 7 batters. And also Helcris Olivares, I've never seen it before, had like 3 balks in a single inning. It was just absurd. But everyone in the press box in Reading was like, what the hell's these guys' issues? Like, why, what did, and I was like, I promise they're not mad at the team. This is just who they are. The command is not there. They are going to hit some batters. This is not like they did something to piss them off. This is just, they don't hit the strike zone that often. Like,
do I need to bring the stat back again? Do I need to bring the most absurd stat back? Like this, Helcris Olivares, just for reference, 36 innings in Portland in 2024. He struck out 47 guys. Great. He walked 50 guys, hit 9 guys, and had 6 balks.
He was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
We're still talking about him. Like how many guys, from 2 years ago that, aren't around anymore are we still talking about,
He talk about those like 3 outcome hitters. It's like Oliveira's kind of a 3 outcome pitcher.
Yeah.
We've invented something new here today.
No, 3 outcome pitcher, except the 3 outcomes were strikeout, walk, and hit by pitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fun.
So it was May 19th. He walked the leadoff hitter and then balked twice in a row to move him to third. That's what it was.
Wow.
It got him to 26 walks in 21 innings with 6 balks, but he also had a 100 batting average against and a sub-2 ERA. He was a different kind of beast, man.
Quite a line.
It was. I remember when he got released, he had a 3.50 ERA. It's like, why are they releasing someone with a 3.50 ERA? And it's like he's giving up. His runs allowed per 9 were over 5. Was over 5.
Yeah. The pitching coach was having a heart attack in the dugout every day. Jeez.
I think you might have been. If I was the pitching coach, I think I would have quit. I'd be like, release. Like once they released him, I think I would have been okay. I'm back. I'm back for my vocation.
But then they have Seth Martinez is a phenomenal veteran to have in Triple-A. Like he's someone that will help the major league team at some point. Obviously, Jake mentioned Tyler Samaniego, and then for me the big one is Jeremy Wu Yelland. Probably one of like top 3 favorite pitchers to watch last year. First off, I got to talk to him when Portland played in Somerset, and just one of the nicest people in the world. Incredibly easy to root for, but just absolutely electric on the mound. He's someone who's had ridiculous bad luck when it comes to his minor league career. He gets drafted in 2020 when there's no season. Then he has injuries. He misses all of 2022. He barely pitched in 2021. He barely pitched in 2023. And then he comes back as a reliever at that point, and he's been awesome, especially last year. He was phenomenal in high A and double A. And just doesn't walk a ton of people, racks up strikeouts, and had a couple really big moments last year. Got a couple like really clutch save opportunities. He's someone that I think deserves more attention from the fan base. I think he has just incredible arm talent, and left-handed relievers are always going to be an incredibly valuable asset. So I'm hoping that we'll see big things from him this year, and I'm hoping it leads to him getting a chance in the majors. Obviously, if he doesn't, the hope is that he doesn't because things go well and the Red Sox just don't need to bring up many reinforcements. But I think that there's absolutely a chance that come, September, there's a place for Jeremy Yellen on the major league roster.
I'll also just add so that I thought it was funny. Because he's got the non-Western Invited IL tag on him, they abbreviate his first name is abbreviated, which I find kind of funny.
Jeremy?
Yeah.
Jeremy?
Yeah. It looks like they're trying to make it
only
be
so
like
much
Jeremy. Yeah, there's only so much space. I mean,
got a long name.
Like,
who needs vowels? Vowels. Come on.
I mean, imagine if like
say.
Christian Encarnacion Strand was like his name wouldn't fit. Just get rid of it. The good thing he only goes by Encarnacion on the back of his jersey instead of.
Yeah.
I would love to see that jersey Encarnacion Strand just all across the back. Would have been fun. No, there's not a ton else I have for the bullpen. I was going to bring up Jeremy Yellen, but so once I'll just bring it up again. I know a song because I don't have anything else. But no song's going to make the big eventually, right? Like it's going to happen one of these days.
Like it, yeah.
It feels like it's inevitable. Like it's like, you know what? Screw it. Noah Song should be on the U.S. World Baseball Classic team in 2029, and he should be the one carrying the American flag. Him and Paul Skeens.
Some of his best work was in international competition.
Yeah,
the absolute
best. That's where the hype became so ridiculous for him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he would be a great fit for Team USA, just considering he went to the Naval Academy.
Well, yeah, there's that too, but
But then, is there anything else for the pitchers?
I don't think so.
Anybody? No. So then I do want to start off. Obviously, this might not be the proper place to start, but I am just intrigued, Andrew, because Nate Eaton deserves a spot on the major league roster. Like, he played fantastic. He looked good in the WBC, but it's just kind of like Andrew Monastero's also played really good, and he can play shortstop, which I could see being an important thing, because I don't think they're going to want to move Marcelo Meyer around. I think they're going to want him to. You are playing second
short,
base.
Though? Just can't. I can't.
Well, yeah, but
I'm not arguing against the reasoning on Monasterio. Can't IKF also play short?
Yeah, but I just like Nate Eaton's. I don't know. I think they're going to go Monasterio, and I'm just intrigued, Andrew. Like, what you think is the deciding factor in that, and just your overall thoughts on Nate Eaton, because I think he's been phenomenal ever since joining the Red Sox system, and also a massive human being. Like, when I first saw him in person, I was like, oh, Nate Eaton's yoked. All right, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I think the Red Sox kind of did Nate Eaton a disservice this spring, just because he hasn't played the infield in any big league games. He's been all outfield, and if you look at the depth chart for the outfield, he's the sixth outfielder. Yeah. So like there's no spot for a sixth outfielder on the major league team. So he was playing third base for Team Great Britain in the WBC, and obviously he has done it before, he can handle it, but it's just like, it truly is like very weird to me that the Red Sox just like have not, like, any of these games since he's came back before, like, try to see what he put him at third base, like, put him at second, but all those guys were in camp, so it's like they weren't going to the WBC or anything. So I feel like that's going to truly be his downfall. And it's like, I think Montero is going to make it also because Montero can play first base. Nate Eaton has not played first base in his major league career, or professional career, I should say. So I think Montero trying out that first base mitt and having he played games there in Milwaukee last year. I think that might be the difference maker with Romy Gonzalez not being on the roster.
Also, how in the hell does Milwaukee get to just chuck anyone at first base and it work? But when the Red Sox do it, it never works.
They got some voodoo powers over there, man.
Yeah.
Look at their pitching.
They do, man.
Literally, like they on, like, do we need like an investigation on them or something? Because like apparently they just throw anyone at first base and it works.
And not only that, but it's like they had this bizarre offseason where they just they traded a bunch of really good players that contributed to the team that had the best record in the National League last year, and they're probably going to be right back in the playoffs again. I'm sure they will.
Yeah,
oh, they will be.
They're crazy.
They can go through losing their manager. They can go through losing their best players, and they never end up mattering.
Andrew, I want to ask you, we haven't really talked that much in this show so far about Mikey Romero. And where, I guess I'd ask you, position-wise, where do you think we're going to see him the most? And I think I feel like there's a chance we see him in the big leagues this year. I know there's a lot of infield depth, and they would probably want him to play every day, but at a certain point, you do kind of have to see what you have with him. I feel like it's like we're talking about the 3 true outcomes, whatever. It's like the outcomes for Mikey Romero is to me, it's most likely he's either traded this year or we do see him play in the big leagues to a certain extent, and maybe he still ends up getting traded. But where do you see, where are we at with Mikey Romero? This is whatever year, 4 or 5 in the system for him. What's your thoughts?
He's still so young. It's it's crazy. I know you guys are big Mikey. I think he's multiple time guest on the show. There you go, 3-time guest. I'm a big Mikey guy. I truly do think it's so hard because it's you don't want to wish an injury on a guy like Marcelo Meyer, but it's it's hard to not be okay, he's probably going to go down for a little bit throughout the year. I mean, because he's just done it every season. I don't want him to do it. Obviously, I want to see him, play 140 games or 130 games, whatever it is. But it will depend on, I feel who the first injury is going to be. Does Caleb Durbin miss some time? Do they need a guy to come up and play third because maybe you don't
Trevor Story?
Yeah, or God forbid Trevor Story. It's if you don't want IKF playing every day, it's it's going to be interesting because I don't think Mikey looked that bad at third base. I mean, Hunter, I kind of want to know your thoughts. With him defensively at third, I did not see him as a huge step down.
No, I think the best position for him is second base, mainly just because I have the beautiful vision of a power hitting second, a left-handed hitting, power hitting.
That's it.
Left-handed hitting power second baseman. That was a terrible sentence. But yeah, he handles third base fine. The arm is fine for the position. It's not anything spectacular, but he can get the ball to first base. And I think I think the athleticism plays really well there. Because he's not the quickest player. He's not the most, he doesn't have crazy athleticism where if you have him at shortstop, let's say, he's not going to make some crazy plays in the hole all the time. But third base, he's got the quick reaction time, and he can make those movements that he has to make. So I still think the best spot for him is second, but he handles third base fine, and he now has the bat for third base. It's not when he first came into the system and he has this pretty swing, but he, maybe a 15 home run guy. That doesn't really work as well at third base, but now that he's got a lot more power, I think that third base would be more than fine for him. And I think he handles the position very well. And I don't want to give away too much, but my big prediction for Triple-A was 25 plus home runs from Mikey Romero this year. Yeah, I think he plays really well in that ballpark. I think his swing is perfect for that ballpark. So if he spends the year there, I think he gets 25 plus home runs. So yeah, I think he can play either spot. I don't think either would be an issue. I don't think he's a shortstop at this point. I think they're kind of on to second and third with if they have to put him at short, they can. But yeah, I think we'll see him more at second base than anywhere. Especially with, you have Nick Sogard can play third. You have Nate Eaton who can play third. So I think that Tyler McDonough can play third. I think they'll try to stick Mikey Romero at second as much as they can. But like you said, it's going to depend on who gets hurt in the if he is to come up, it's going to depend on who gets hurt in the majors. And if Kalen Durbin gets hurt, I don't think right away, if Kalen Durbin gets hurt in week 1, we're seeing Nick Sogard come up probably. But I think if we're, 2 months into the season, if Caleb Durbin gets hurt, I think they would be more than comfortable calling up Mikey Romero to play the position if obviously pending on how he's doing during the season, but based on the fact that I'm predicting 25 plus home runs, I'm assuming he'll be doing more than fine. So yeah, I could see them being more than comfortable with Romero being the everyday third baseman for a couple weeks.
Yeah, well, I'll just chuck on with the Mike Romero talk quickly. He really, this isn't a like for like comparison. Whenever I think power hitting second baseman, I always just think Dan Uggla for whatever reason. And I'm not
Dan Uggla. I loved Dan Uggla. My only issue was MLB 2K 8 or 9, I forget what one. He had 88 power, but he hit a home run every single at bat. It pissed me off. If you were going against him, it was like just walk Dan Uggla.
See, for me, it was Tyler Flowers that was my kryptonite. I could be throwing a perfect game, and then Tyler Flowers would take me deep. And I'm like MLB 2K, like
I loved
11 or 12. It also just let me down while you were talking, Hunter. I was thinking power hitting second baseman. Ooh, Dan Uggla. Let me look at those Marlins teams. Yeah, that 2007 Marlins team had second year Uggla, Hanley, and like Miguel Cabrera, and they still only won like 70 games because they had nothing else. And
they
then
didn't have Beckett and Mike Lowell anymore, baby.
Well, and then the 08 team, the year after, they traded Miggy. Ricky Nolasco was in the rotation. Josh Johnson was in the rotation. And Andrew Miller was in the rotation. And they also had a young Anibal Sanchez. And
another part of that trade.
Yeah.
Another part of that which obviously this is not what we're here to talk about.
No.
But every time we talk about anything that comes, it's incredible that Mike Lowell was a literal throw-in in that trade. They were like, you can have Josh Beckett if you take Mike Lowell. And then he was like the best third baseman in the league that year.
Yeah, that trade actually might be like one of the like if the Marlins just weren't a terrible franchise, that could be a legitimately like amazing win-win trade. Because getting Hanley
was still absurd for they didn't have team success.
Yes,
Anibal Sanchez threw a no-hitter in his career.
Anibal Sanchez might be, I think, is legitimately the most underrated pitcher of his generation. Like the guy just
he was on that Tigers team.
Oh my god, the 2013 ALCS game 1. Which I was at, which that lives in my memory.
But yeah, Jake, you're the one that brought up Romero, so I'm intrigued on your Romero thoughts.
Well, I just think that at a certain point, it's like, what can a guy prove in the minors? And I do think that like the swing decisions and the strikeouts are just still the thing that's holding him back the most. Like I don't even, he's had terrible injury luck in his career. I feel like for the most part, he's been much better off recently with that. And I think they figured out that he's not going to be a shortstop. And so it's like second, maybe third. I just think that like he's going to have every opportunity in front of him in Worcester to play just about every day at some spot. And, what is his ceiling? I don't know. Like, I feel like this is the year where we find out like what his ceiling is. And if the swing decisions get better, if the offense comes around a little bit, then you can see a big leaguer. But it's just like how many more years of the sort of same thing in terms of his, like, the strikeout issues continually popping up. Are we going to just kind of, it's going to be the realization that maybe, his role is certainly not with a team like the Red Sox that has playoff expectations every year. But yeah, I do think we see him in the big leagues at some point this year. But I'm hoping for the best as always for him because he's such a great, just genuinely a great human being.
That's true. I do think there's someone that we have to talk about. We're going to talk about Worcester, and I think it's an obvious one. It's Christian Campbell. He's slated seemingly to play center field this year. Obviously, with how many damn outfielders the Red Sox have, could be considered an interesting choice depending on how you look at it. Like I said, considering how many outfielders they have. How are we feeling about Christian Campbell heading into this year? Obviously, I mentioned we were talking a little bit before the show. And I mentioned in the Red Sox Podcasters League, he was Mr. Irrelevant going to me with pick 400 because 16 teams and 25 rounds. So Christian Campbell's on my fantasy team, so I'm hoping for the best more than I even typically would. Somehow, like the 100 100% wishing for the best has gone up to like 115% wishing for the best. But how do you feel about Christian Campbell? Give it to you first, Andrew. Thoughts on Christian Campbell entering the 2026 season?
It's just that's another tough one, just because I feel like there's nobody in between on him. It's either like I've seen like people are like, all right, I'm done with this guy, like he's cooked, like whatever, he's been bad, or I see the other camp of like still believe in the guy, like still. I mean, I haven't really seen very many takes of like, you know what, like, maybe he could turn out to be like a little decent player, and like, maybe he isn't the guy that we saw, come, light up the minor league system. But I don't know. I'm always perplexed. I am always perplexed on Christian Campbell because you hear about like all the changes he's made with the swing, and he was playing winter ball down in Puerto Rico, and obviously his like numbers in spring training haven't been that good, but it's just like at the same time, it's just like I just gotta see it. Like I just gotta see it like in game action against and Ian Condell always tells me this too about like spring training is like I think spring training is valuable, but you have to like look at who that batter is doing or who that pitcher is doing damage against. Like that does matter. Like context matters, right? So it's like, is Christian Campbell like facing a bunch of big leaguers? Like, I mean, lately he has been because he's been in the lineup, well, before he got optioned, optioned. Yeah. But he, I just have to see it because I want to know, is the batting stance going to stick? Is he going to switch again after like a week if he struggles? So I'm perplexed. I don't know.
I think that on Campbell, the fact that he was optioned to Triple-A is not like, I don't know if people were surprised by that. Like, it's just obviously he struggled, but like the Red Sox made all these roster decisions over the course of the last year, basically since he was sent down last year, that made it almost impossible, if there weren't injuries, for him to have an everyday regular role. If people are resigned to the idea that they just think Christian Campbell is a backup and is a major league backup, then sure, maybe he could have been on the roster. But like, they made all these decisions about trading for Caleb Durbin. It was very clear that Marcelo Meyer they wanted him to be the everyday second baseman. They wanted to move to the outfield. Well, the outfield is more than full, and they have more than enough guys that can DH. And so it was never happening unless there was either like catastrophic injuries to multiple guys, or there were more trades that we didn't really see. I don't really know why it shouldn't be controversial that Christian Campbell should play every day somewhere. So I agree. We got to see it. And my hope is that there's maybe a little bit less pressure on him at the moment, knowing that he's not expected to go up and play in the big leagues and contribute there. And yeah, let's see it. Like, let's see him play every day. Let's see him hopefully kind of more or less stick at, playing in the outfield, it seems like, and, maybe getting to play a lot more center field, but, and just see what he can do. I think that the baseball player that was there in 2024 that, basically gave him like a ticket to being in the big leagues and getting this contract extension didn't just disappear. Like, we're just like, this isn't like a guy like we talked about guys, some other guys that, in the minor leagues, guys like the Nazan Zanatellos and Miguel Blases of the world, that we see these glimpses of it. Like, we saw a full season of Christian Campbell being like the best player in the minor leagues. And this isn't to say that like that guarantees he's going to be successful in the big leagues. We've seen plenty of guys, like, you guys are probably maybe aren't old enough to remember this guy, but Brandon Wood, I don't know if that's a name that means anything to anyone. The guy that, like, 1 year in the minors with the Angels, he hit 43 home runs, and he was a shortstop, and he was going to be the next big star for the Angels, and he was nothing in the big league. So it's like, that does happen, but it's still too early to give up on it. So yeah, we got to see it from him. We got to see it every day from Campbell. And, I think he's in the best, I think he is in the best possible situation for him right now, regardless of the fact that they gave him this big contract and he was great at the start of last year and everything's been kind of bad since then. Like, this is the best outcome for him.
To be my usual overly positive self, I think something that people need to remember is, and I'm not saying he's going to look as good as he did last April, but he did have a significant injury that he clearly tried to play through, that clearly hampered him, that caused setbacks and everything. And it's like, if he's healthy now, I do think that's going to make a very big difference. Like, we did see him be the best rookie in baseball for an entire month to start the season before the injuries and everything really derailed him. But so we have seen admittedly small sample size, but still a sample size where Christian Campbell was an elite rookie in baseball. One thing I'm intrigued about is, like, obviously you guys have him listed as an outfielder. That seems to be the play. But we did see, you know, Brian Abraham came on this show. He came on other shows saying, like, hey, Christian Campbell is a good defensive second baseman. Like, they have been pretty adamant about the fact that Christian Campbell can play second base. And it's one of those things where I felt like I was going crazy because I saw a bunch of people last year when, like, it became the popular thing to hate on him because he was struggling. The amount of people that were like, oh yeah, well, he's always been the worst defensive second baseman in the world. And I'm like, am I crazy? He was not, I'm not saying he was an elite defensive second baseman, but he was not a bad defensive second baseman like 2024. And so it was good to hear people within the organization be like, we don't think this guy's a bad defensive second baseman. But like, Brian Abraham went on shows and said he's still a second baseman. Other people within the organization have said this guy can still play second base. So I'm intrigued if that's going to be something he still does, or if they're just maybe within the last 2-3 months, they've been like, you know what, outfield, that's where he's going. Because there is, as much as I'd rather them put him in one spot and keep him there, there is still a very easy way to get him pretty regular playing time at second base during the season, especially with Mikey Romero, maybe them wanting to put him at third every once in a while. It would not be hard to put Romero at third, Christian Campbell at second, Nick Sogard either gets a day off, DHs, goes to the outfield, whatever. Like, they will figure things out. So I'm intrigued how that goes. And then something I'm interested in, Andrew, is what do you see the top of the lineup looking like? Like, do you think they have Romero 1, Campbell at 2 to get as many at-bats as they possibly can for them? Do they put Braden Ward at the top to get that speed there so that Romero and Campbell have someone to bring in? Like, is there maybe Nate Eaton goes up near the top, or do you think they're kind of like, hey, Romero and Campbell are the two guys who are really focused on getting as many at-bats as we possibly can?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, and I always think about that too. And but we saw literally last year, right? And I know that, you know, over the last couple seasons, when you have those top prospects, like, you know, when you had Roman, when you had Marcelo, when you had Kyle Teal even in the lineup, like, you had a guy like Nick Sogard. So most of Nick Sogard was hitting leadoff for a lot of those games over Roman Anthony, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, like, Nick Sogard was hitting before just to, like, get a guy on base, get some different situations there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, like, you know, like Nate Eaton hitting leadoff in front of these guys. And, you know, if that's like a Sogard in the 2-hole, and then you go into like the Mikey Romero, Christian Campbells of the world. Or if I don't know, or if Chad wants to have Ward's speed at the top, but then again, he's not a 40-man guy. I'd rather have Nate Eaton getting more at bats at the top of the lineup. So I would personally put it that way, just to have like the 40-man guys truly, like, because, you know, if there's an injury on the big league team, it's like probably two of your top options are going to be Nate Eaton or Nick Sogard. So it's like having those two at the top to just get as many at bats as they can, and then you get the Campbells and the Romeros, and heck, even the Alan Castros of the world after that. So that's kind of how I would do it.
And then
I just want to add too quickly on Campbell. Last year in Worcester, in his 73 games, his weighted runs created plus was 118. It's obviously not like crazy, like it's not a crazy number like you had in 2024, but still,
it's still a positive.
Yes, it's still a positive, right? Obviously, like, you know, a guy you give 128 million. Was it 128 million or 120 million? Whatever the number was, 100 something million, you know, that you give him. You'd like obviously better than that, but like overall, especially too, he struggled a little bit when he first got back to Worcester. Overall, putting up those numbers in Worcester, like it is a positive. Like you said, Hunter, it is a positive. and you would hope that it is something he can build on.
Yeah. Andrew, you've been like ridiculously generous with your time. We're like way over 2 hours at this point. I wanted to just kind of the last thing. I don't know if there's other guys we wanted to talk about, but one thing I wanted
More
to
Alan Castro.
One thing I wanted
Never
to
enough.
make sure we want to talk about is the catching situation, because I think this is the way that the Red Sox have, I feel like, really tried to push things in Worcester with the catchers is like there've been some bad situations in the past where they've had guys that were just like not like they either were really not catchers or they just were like not guys that were sort of maybe they were more offensive focused or that kind of thing. Right. It feels like, I think that Matt Thaiss is still technically in big league camp, but I feel like Connor Wong is still going to be the backup catcher. It's not like a guarantee, but it's not like Thaiss has been like amazing at the plate in spring or that kind of thing. But it seems like, the catching tandem in Worcester is probably going to be him and Jason DeLay. And those are two guys that have had a lot of big league experience. And it's the type of thing that I feel like that is going to be a huge, like the most important thing. I think this is the way the Red Sox have gone, is that they want the Triple-A catchers to be guys that the pitchers feel comfortable throwing to and are kind of like someone that like the pitchers can take a little bit of a lead from and be sort of, and guys that can come up to the big leagues and obviously be competent catchers at the big league level, if needed, just in a pinch or for a period of time. Do you see it similarly? And like, how do you see that kind of shaking out with those guys this year, Tyson DeLay? Do you think that's like, they're kind of the next ones in that line of like, okay, like these guys are here to kind of really be good catchers and help the pitchers as they kind of can develop and hopefully get their way up to the big leagues?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think Tice got some love from Alex Cora and I believe Sonny Gray the other day, just by a lot pretty much like, the pitchers were impressed with him being able to call a game, just him back there receiving, like, because a lot of them have never thrown to him before in their career. So I did notice that. Obviously, Jason DeLay has been with the Pirates in the big leagues before. He's not known for his bat. I mean, he has a pretty good, strong defensive background. So I do like what they did with it. I know there's been some years back where, like, you had guys like Tyler Heineman, who's now doing well in Toronto, but it's like, you have a good defensive guy like that. They can come up in a pinch, things like that. And I think we've come a long way from the Jorge Alfaro days of him being
I was going to bring him up.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But yeah, we've come
Ronaldo Hernandez.
Yeah, Ronaldo Hernandez was another one.
At least he was a prospect, though.
Blake
At
Savage.
least
Yeah, he was
a
homegrown. Yeah.
Jorge Alfaro felt like they were actively sabotaging the Triple-A pitching staff.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're trying to get these pitchers to grow, and you're like, let's put literally a cone back there. Dude couldn't call a game. He couldn't frame pitches. He had a really strong arm, but he just tried to show everybody that he was Uncle Rico and could throw him over the mountains.
Throwing it over trying to throw it over the fence instead of field.
Seems like the nicest dude in the world, so I always feel bad. But just it gets me vitriolly angry when I remember Jorge Alfaro was actively ruining the development of Triple-A pitchers.
I'm not afraid now to say this out loud because it's been a couple years, and I spent a lot of time in the Worcester clubhouse as of like 2-3 years ago, and I got close with Joe Jakes in there, and I will never forget him describing the experience of throwing to Jorge Alfaro, and he pretty much called it he called it one of the roller coasters on Roller Coaster Tycoon, and I cannot remember which one it was for the life of me. I got to go back and listen to it. But I was kind of like, can you like elaborate on this? Because I'm not like, I used to play Roller Coaster Tycoon back in the day, but I'm like,
just a roller coaster where you take the end off so all the people fall off and die.
All of them like fall and die, but he was
the
pretty
Alfaro
much like,
coaster.
Dude, it was bad. Like it was the pitchers there absolutely hated it, and yeah, it matters. That stuff matters, especially if you have two of your top prospects and your pitching prospects and totally and early. Like their development matters. So it's like having a guy like DeLay and Thaiss who have been in the big leagues. Pitchers do not hate throwing to them. That does matter. So I am happy they're getting back to a more traditional route here.
Is there anything else big that we need to touch on here?
For Worcester?
Yeah. Obviously, there's just a couple people to name drop. We
lost our
mentioned Chang
bullpen
a little
catcher.
bit. Nathan Hickey, Tyler McDonough, I think will always be incredibly underrated. Just a good switch hitting utility guy who plays a phenomenal outfield and can play everywhere else. And then I don't know what his role on the team is going to be. He was on the development list a lot last year, but I'm always going to give love to Philip Sykes. Just one of the most genuine dudes in the organization. Works his butt off. It was good to see him get some cool moments last year. I know he came back from missing a lot of time and then had a 2-homer game. That was cool. But I don't know what his role is going to be on this team with a lot of really intriguing outfielders. So
I do have one takeaway, but my last takeaway here on Worcester, and it's something that I'm going to be looking for the first 2 months probably. They are implementing a new hitting structure in Triple-A Worcester this year because their hitting coach Doug Clark last year they did not ask him to come back. They didn't fire him, but they didn't bring him back. So they pretty much were like, hey, let's part ways. So now they have Colin Hetzler as their main hitting coach, who was fantastic last year. He came over from the Mets organization the year prior. Very, very high respect for him. And then Johnny Reyna, who was with Double-A Portland last year, is now with Triple-A Worcester as their assistant hitting coach. So those two will be running the hitting structure in Worcester. And I think it's going to be a little different because Doug was very, very old school. Doug Clark was an older guy. He just did things a little differently. Johnny is a younger guy, and so is Colin.
We want
to get one for the road.
Oh, it was an old joke.
Catching strays here. Come on.
Gotta get one for the road.
Derrik, I'm old as well, so it's I don't know. I feel like I probably am closer to Jake than I am you.
That's true. That's most likely true.
You're outnumbered here, buddy.
I'm on. Was your birthday in the 90s?
Me?
Mine?
Derrik, not yeah,
no,
not you, Jake.
No,
yeah, not me.
Yeah, see, I'm way too close. Yeah, I'm closer to Jake than I am you.
93, baby.
Yeah, I'm 94. So
I turned 40 in 2 weeks. So
yeah, see, we're all in 30s.
My brother just turned 35.
I will see the 30s for another 7 years and some change.
Yeah, see, that's crazy. That's I'm on Team Jake here, so I'm sorry, but yeah, the hitting development though, look for it.
That's interesting though. I didn't realize that they were going a different route hitting wise. Yeah, that's absolutely something to pay attention to because that might change the development of some of the guys. That might, we'll see how Mikey Romero responds to that. We'll see how Christian Campbell responds to that. Alan Castro, obviously, he wasn't in Triple-A last year, but
I will say this, Mikey did work with Johnny Reyna down in Portland last year before he got called up, and I remember Mikey interviewing him in the middle of last season, and he was kind of like, "Hey, Johnny unlocked things in me. I didn't even know. I was starting to pull the ball a lot more. I was showing more power than I was previously, and he literally gave Johnny a lot of credit. So it could be good that he's
all right. Jody's here, and generally when she shows up, that means it's about time for the show to wrap up.
I will say Worcester did lose their glorified bullpen catcher in Anderson Lira. Felt bad for him. Obviously, I think Hunter. We might have brought it up last year, but we kind of knew where this was going to go with him, unfortunately, considering.
Yeah, they had him skip levels to go be the Triple-A bullpen catcher. He did get a cool moment. His only Triple-A hit was a home run.
That is true.
But
he's got more Triple-A hits than I'll ever have.
There was someone else. I think it was Max Ferguson. No, I don't remember who it was. There was someone when I was doing my previews actually got his first Triple-A hit before. No, you know what? It might have been Framey De Leon. I think he got his first Double-A hit before he got his first High A hit, and then he was another guy that got released, so I had to take him off my thing. But and I think Anderson Lira was the same way. He might have had his first Triple-A hit before his first Double-A hit. But
he did he? I don't know. Oh, now I don't know. He had one hit in Double-A. No, one hit in Triple-A and one hit in Double-A last year. So I don't know the dates on that. Other thing, maybe the second most important thing of the show, or third most important thing of the show, depending on how you rank them. Because I'd argue Alan Cash is second. That's what. Mickey Gasper's back, and we haven't brought it up.
I did want to ask Andrew about that. You guys have Gasper listed starting first baseman. Do you think that's more of a 40-man thing? Because I kind of just felt like it was going to be Nathan Hickey. I feel like he played there decently well. Like he looked better defensively than I thought he would at the position. And offense is what it is. He's gonna strike out, but he's also gonna draw some walks and hit some home runs. So is that just more a, like you said with the other guys, have the 40 guy ready to go in case he's needed?
Yeah, I think Mike Andrews is the one that updates that page. I think he was more leaning the way just because Mickey Gasper is probably player 40 of 40 on the 40 man, as in like if, for example, before they ended up signing Danny Colomb and then Canley could end up playing his way. He'll need a 40-man spot though. It's like we thought that possibly they were going to waiver claim. They still could a reliever. And and I think Gasper's probably, I couldn't think of somebody it's maybe him or Chang or I feel like those would have to be the 40-man guys, or maybe Ziegler.
I feel like Gasper would be a safer bet that teams wouldn't jump at than Chang.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but
yeah, so I think that was kind of the play on that, is like, let's stick him there right now because like we don't know if he's truly going to be like could be a reliever that there's been a lot of opt-outs this week for guys opting out of their deals, so you never know, there could be a reliever coming back in just to get more depth.
That's true. As long as Tommy Canley isn't a spy, because as nice as Lucas Lukey is, he might have been a spy. Just
wow,
I liked him.
Oh, he was nice. His family was really nice too, but like, might have been a spy. I don't know. A little bit too much Yankee history there for me, for my liking personally. But
But is there anything else anyone wants to touch on? Like Jake said,
what? I feel. Sorry, go ahead, Honor.
I was just going to say, like Jake said, Andrew's been very, very generous with his time as we were about to hit 2:30.
We should have mentioned it's. I feel bad that I'm just bringing this up now, almost 2.5 hours into this. But Andrew had some exciting news recently that his podcast is now part of is it Prospects Live, I believe.
Oh yeah, that did happen.
That is super. And the name of the podcast is To the Show We Go. It was, I remember when you started that, and that's very
in that hand.
I was going to say, I feel like Ed was on that at the start and then quickly tapered off. But
well, you have a kid and stuff. So it happens.
Yeah, congratulations
Thank
on
you,
that.
Jake.
And obviously, your success has been incredible to watch, honestly. Like, see you go and now doing stuff for Sox Prospects, and now your podcast is part of Prospects Live. And you deserve all of it. You're one of the hardest workers of anybody that covers any aspect of the Red Sox franchise. So, you deserve all the accolades, and we really appreciate you spending so much of your Sunday afternoon with us. So,
no, thank you guys for letting me do this. I very much appreciate it, and it's about time me and Hunter cross paths. So that was on my bucket list.
Superpowers.
We're gonna have to do it every once in a while because this was fun.
Yeah, they. I think somebody slid in my DMs the other day. I think it was after like I was on the Sox Prospects podcast, and they were like, "If you ever started your own Red Sox podcast, like the only person you should co-host with is Hunter Knoll." And I was like, honestly, I agree with you 100%. Even though I don't think I will ever do a Red Sox podcast, but I'm like, that would probably be my.
What do you mean? There's
call.
only 9,000 of them.
Yeah,
I know, but I was like, that would be my first phone call.
9,000. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. It's just that's a shooting low, I think. But anyway,
but yes, thank you
Thanks,
very
Andrew.
much, Andrew. This has been fantastic, and I also do just want to shout out Jake. Everybody, please go subscribe, follow whatever Wax Pack Wisdom, his YouTube channel that he does.
Buddy.
It's
I do
baseball cards, it's baseball history, and that's blown up recently for him. So please go follow that and give that a listen.
I very much appreciate that, Hunter. That means a lot. Thank you.
I knew you weren't going to do it, so it's what you always say.
No, I'm not gonna.
Hunter's not going to do it.
Not gonna self promote.
I'd probably butcher it considering my history with names. Hey, I've got Mark Colesbury down. Might be a little late, but I got it
That's very
down.
useful.
Very timely of you.
I got it down. Okay. Who's next? I don't know. Probably Chang, because I'm probably never going to get his first name. But,
Okay.
I don't know. I think that's it. Andrew, thank you for your time. For the people who may not know, I don't know how they wouldn't know you, but for people who are somehow still listening and don't know you, where can they find you?
I'm at by Andrew Parker on everything. Like, I made it easy for the people. Like, any platform, that's me.
Smart.
Perfect. All right. With that, we're going to wrap things up. Like Hunter said, shout out Jake. Thank you, Jake. Well, hopefully,
I'll
Jake
be
will
around.
be back soon. He'll still
be
be around. We'll still bother him a little bit.
Yes.
So for Jake and Hunter, my name is Derrik. As always, thanks for tuning into the Minor League Show, and we'll see you next time.
Like, this is called the pesky report. Like,